Hey there guys, before we get into this month's Q&A, I want to give a big shout out to Smart Arts. There's a link in the description for you guys to go and join in this little competition they've asked if I wanted to hold. They haven't asked for any kind of promotion from their end, and you know, I'm not earning any money out of this. It's just some cool official Sega art prints and a cool Sonic coin to go with it. Enter the competition below completely for free, and hey, you never know, you could be winning yourself some pretty awesome Sega goodness. Anyway, on with the Q&A. Hello guys, it's DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room. We've got a bit of a different angle here. Hopefully this is the last Q&A video you see in this house. I'm looking to move, and that's why everything's all a little bit cluttered. And that's why I am losing my mind, because I'm trying to move house whilst having a 9 to 5 and doing the YouTube thing. But yeah, it's time for the Patreon Q&A. What month are we in? August? July's Q&A? Makes sense? Yeah, I think that's about it. But guys, obviously you saw the little bit at the beginning there. Yes, I am doing a little competition to basically win some really pretty decent art prints, and that cool little Sonic coin. It was quite crazy. I actually went to buy one of them myself and I had it in my checkout. Oh, should I buy it? Should I not? Well, you guys can actually have it as part of a competition down below. And if you're watching this, you're probably already subscribed to me. So you've pretty much just clicked the link. You've pretty much already got a link to be able to, what is it? A ticket to win? Is it a ticket? Yeah, whatever. So yeah, guys, this is my July Q&A, but I have got a few other things I want to show off in this video too. Firstly, we'll get to the Q&A, but if you do check the timestamps below, you will also see after this, I'm going to be putting the Digitiser panel that I did this weekend just gone at the Play Expo in London, which I was thankfully a guest at, along with, who else was there? Larry Bundy, Kim Justice, Octavius Kitten, Nostalgia Nerd, Daz from Digino Gaming, Ashins. Have I missed anybody? No, there was other people on the Digitiser one as well. People like Paul Gannon, Quang, who's doing Meow, Carlson, Mayo. That game I've talked about before in the Space Harrier video. Yeah, guys, so check the description down below. You'll be able to see that talk, and obviously there'll be another link as well to check out the YouTube Q&A, which had us all on there, and it was a really good talk. So thank you all who saw me this weekend. I really do appreciate it. And before I do get into the Q&A, other than the incredible artwork that you guys can win, I also want to show you off this, because this is utterly beautiful. The lighting's not great in here. I really should have done this in the daytime. It's actually, what's the time? It's midnight. I burn it on both ends, guys. So yeah, I actually met a guy called Duncan Gutteridge. So if you don't know, Duncan Gutteridge did some classic Sonic the Hedgehog artwork, among other things, but classic Sonic the Hedgehog artwork in the 90s, during Sonic's real proper heyday of that original trilogy of games, you know, and CD and what have you. He did a lot of promotional work based around Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is arguably the best Sonic game ever. It's actually still in its cling film, so it might be a bit shiny, but check this out. Actually, that looks quite nice in this light, doesn't it? Look at that. So this is obviously not the box art. This was actually used in the, I'm looking at it on the camera. It's beautiful. This is, what did he use this? I think this is for like a Sonic the Hedgehog calendar from the 90s. Beautiful. He had so much artwork up there. So obviously that wasn't the original cover art. He did do the cover for Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble on the Master System. And I had to take this as well, because this was his original design. And this, if anyone out there plays Sonic the Hedgehog games, you'll know completely what this is from. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the European box art. I don't know if it's on the American box art, we'll have to have a look. But yeah, it's a bit of a mismatch of different artists, and this was Duncan Gutteridge's artwork, and this made it onto the cover of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Yep, very cool. So that's what I purchased myself. I said I wouldn't buy anything because we're moving house. We need to save everything we can. But when that's presented in front of you, you have to buy it, don't you? But I also got given a couple of things as well. Oh yeah, check this photo out. But I just lost it. Here we go. These are the people I'll put up. Oh, there you go. Look at those quality guys. Oh, what an awesome picture! What an awesome picture. But yeah. Anyway, I got given a couple of things at this convention. Am I going to go back into focus? Come on, you can do it, camera. Okay, so firstly, I got this CD. So this is a CD from a guy called Iceferno. I said I'd give him a shout out, which I am doing. But thankfully, I did have a listen to this. I had a really big drive as soon as I got back from the convention, and I pulled this out of my suitcase, which was in the boot, and I played. Come on, I played Streets of Wrath. Guys, you need to listen to this. You need this sort of fan soundtrack thing in your life. So basically, what Streets of Wrath is exactly what it says on the tin. It's basically a remix of the original Streets, #1, Streets of Rage, and it's so good. It almost sounds like, to me, like a Streets of Rage game existed, you didn't know about it, and this is the soundtrack. Like, it's so good. You can definitely hear those influences, like, okay, that's from that track, that's from that track. It's so incredible. Guys, you need to have a listen to this. There'll be a link down below to his Bandcamp where you can listen to for free, or if you can support the guy Iceferno from buying that, then I highly suggest you do. And also, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten your name. If you are around, please comment on this video. I'll put it as the top comment, I'll pin it, all that sort of stuff. Whoever it was that made this little clay figure, let me do it like this. This clay figure of Alien Soldier. Come on, you'll be able to zoom, you'll be able to fix that focus in a minute, won't you? Come on, come on. Right, I'm putting it on there. This is nice and professional, isn't it? I can't get it. I'll do some close-ups or something. Alright, okay, manual focus, there we go. Check this out. So it's a little like clay figure of Treasure's Alien Storm. It's like a little, he's done it as a badge. It's really, really cool. And honestly, I can't thank you enough. Whoever it was that done this, he showed me some of his other artwork. Please do comment below. I'll top comment on it. I did ask him to add me on Facebook, but I got added by so many people after this weekend's convention that yeah, it could be one of so many people. It really could. Thank you so much for sending me these guys gifts over. And if anybody out there asks me to sign something, mind blowing that people want me to sign their stuff, like deface their stuff. Anyone wanting to take pictures, shake my hand, say hello, it meant so much. It was such a great weekend, and the event itself was fantastic. So thank you all so much. But anyway, let's get on with the Q&A. My Patreons had questions and I have some answers for them. If you want to be part of the Patreon list, there will be, obviously there's already a link below for you to be able to sign up. You can sign up for as little as $1 and it really does help me. I'm looking to push Slopes Game Room so much more. I'm hoping you would have seen the jumping quality and the jumping content over this last year, and I want to double that, easy double that. So every little contribution really does help. So thank you all so much. Anyway, my patrons had questions for me, and starting off we had Richard Carter. And Richard Carter asks, "Hi DJ Slope, hope you and family are well. What games do you and your family enjoy playing, if any?" So me and my wife, we play very obvious. We don't actually play that many games, and I mean I've had. There's my PlayStation 4 over there. I've had Shenmue 1 and 2 for the last week and I haven't even turned it on. I installed it and then I just carried on editing. It's mental. So yes, the games that we would play together are obviously always multiplayer games. So you're looking at things like the very obvious stuff like Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, also for the Switch. We played the Wii U one a hell of a lot more. I know it's essentially the same game, but you get me. Play a lot of Overcooked. Actually, I've been playing a game called Everybody Talks, no, Keep Talking or Everybody Explodes. It's some VR game. That was quite fun. My wife dabbles in a little bit of Wipeout as well, but we don't really go too much further than that. I think back in the day we played a hell of a lot of Monkey Ball and a hell of a lot of Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube, but they're the sort of games that we tend to play. As for my daughter's 1 year old, so she can't even pick up a controller without wanting to eat it, but my son, he actually likes watching me play games, or at least he does anyway. He loves watching me play Sonic. He's really into Sonic, which is, yes, my son. So yeah, and to the point where when I say goodbye in the morning, he goes, "See ya," because it sounds like Sega. So yeah, he really likes Sonic, and he also really likes the original arcade, although we play it on the Famicom version, but he likes the original Donkey Kong. He loves, like, get the hammer, hit the barrels. He's really into the original Donkey Kong. So classic Sonic, actually any Sonic to be fair, 3D Sonics. He watched me play some Black Knight recently and really enjoyed that. That makes one of us. No, I'm only joking, I actually really like that game. Yeah, so Sonic games for him, and that's basically where it goes, and that's why this little thing's down here, because I won't play it, actually, they're asleep. So yeah, Richard Carter, thank you very much. Then you have the Geeky Dad, and the Geeky Dad asks, I want to get my daughter into gaming, but I find it difficult. She has difficulty with controllers, being so used to touchscreens. Have you got your kids gaming, and if so, are there any games you recommend for kids? See, for me, I know like a lot of people moan about new age gaming, especially in the circles that I go around, you know, with things like Fortnite and the Lego games and all that sort of stuff, and I suppose Disney Infinity and things. But I think they're really good ways of getting your kids into gaming and doing it with you. Like cooperative Lego games, even though I've not done these myself, when people ask me what games am I most looking forward to playing with my son, obviously I want to play things like Streets of Rage, and play a proper 2D cooperative game of Sonic, if that's even a thing. You know, I'm always going to beat Tails, you know. But playing like Lego games in multiplayer, I think that's like the way to go. I think that's a brilliant like bonding moment with obviously with my son and eventually my daughter and the Geeky Dad and his daughter, I'd like to think. What other games? Snipper Clips for the Switch, that'd be a good like little cooperative game that you could both play. Quite fun, quite comical. I remember there's another game called Ib and Ob, although that gets quite complicated quite quickly. What is it? It's like a platform game where one of you are running along the top and the other person's like underneath running along, and you've got to help each other to make it across. Yeah, that's quite fun. If you can get two guns and point blank, I reckon that's a great cooperative game. I played that at the weekend actually in a wicked bar. In a wicked bar called Pem Shui. Definitely check that one out if you can. But I hope that answers your question. The Geeky Dad, thank you for that. What else have we got next? Ian A. Chapman. And Ian A. Chapman asks, does your cool new Q&A idea require you to start a Kickstarter? If so, what would be your flexible goals? So sorry guys, I said that I was going to do something crazy. The idea was I was going to film this Q&A at the Play Expo London, but it was so noisy. What was I thinking? You would never have heard me, and it didn't happen. So you're going to see, like I say, Play Expo London footage after this, but I'm not recording it at the event. No, it doesn't start me starting a Kickstarter. I have got an idea to start one or two Kickstarters eventually, but we're talking well over a year and away. I haven't really got anything else to say on that, so sorry for building up your hopes there, Ian A. Chapman. Who next? Mike Fallon. Mike Fallon asks, VR Sonic game where you're running on a treadmill, yay or nay? If it's in like a theme park or something, I'm all for it, but I don't want to play that stuff at home. I want to play classic 2D Sonic. Some of the 3D ones are actually pretty good as well, but yeah, that's what I want to play. I just want to play that sort of game. Nah, not really. Not really up for a VR Sonic game on a treadmill. Like I say, if it was in a theme park and it was like part of like a ride experience or something, sign me up. I'll be all about that. But nah. Not to bring home and play. Not at all. Thank you, Mike. Next we had Garrett Leisure, and Garrett is actually a new Patreon, so thank you very much, my good friend. If you had to choose one console to play for the rest of your life, what would it be, excluding any Sega consoles? So obviously I suppose, there we go. I suppose something like the, obviously Mega Drive and Dreamcast, which would be really high on the list. Taking them out of the equation now, I think the easiest, I'm trying to think of anything better than an Xbox 360, just because of the sheer amount of content on it. And I had so much fun doing it. And it was such a long life, wasn't it? That generation of games, generation of consoles with the PS3 and the Xbox 360. It was so much in there. Even the Wii as well. Oh, the Wii would be a good one. Although, just for sheer proper gaming with a controller, I think the Xbox would. Sorry, the Xbox 360 would beat the Wii. I think I'm going to go with Xbox 360. There's just so much on there. So much on there. So I've got quite a lot of favourite games on the Xbox. Yeah, I think so. Although the Wii does have Pikmin 1 and 2. I think I'm going to go with Xbox 360 still. I think I'm going to go with that. So, and there's so many games on there I've still to play as well. Like so many. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Cheers, Garrett. And yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. And thanks for becoming a patron. Ben Hall asks, very squeaky chair. Ben Hall asks, why does it say, are you sure you wish to kill yourself in the picture above? Okay. I always put funny little questions. I put in, ignore that part of it. Anyway, home gaming is about 40 years old. What do you think gaming will be like in a further 40 years? You can't predict it, can you? I'd like to think when gaming started back in the day, with obviously it didn't start with the Atari, but when that sort of brought it a little bit mainstream, it was big, but it also isn't anywhere near as big as it is now. But that was the great first steps to bring out the eventual NES, and obviously in the UK things like the home computer boom, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it all started again, I think, this is how I see gaming, it started again around the PlayStation era with like 3D gaming. I suppose that happened a little bit earlier with things like Star Fox and little things like that, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I feel like we're at that generation again with VR. Although 40 years, there's going to be another 3 or 4 of these generation jumps. So I'd like to think VR is going to become. I really want it to be a staple. I don't know if it ever will. I always think that picking up a simple controller is always gonna win. I always do believe that. But VR, what else could they do? Augmented reality. I'd like to see that take a really big push. You know, interacting with the world, which I suppose has started off quite nicely with things like Pokemon Go, and I know there are things before it, but you know what I'm saying. It's so hard to predict, isn't it? It really, really is. I do think by this point, physical media, there may come and go resurgences. You know, like the way vinyl is. Vinyl's really big at the moment, and it's actually starting to die down a little bit. Vinyl, I think, and that comes and goes like this. And I think buying games in cases, I haven't got any around me, is going to come and go as we move into a world where you're looking 40 years into the future into one system that's going to be almost as good as it can be. I'm just mumbling. I don't know the answer, but I've given you a few snippets there at least. Thank you, Ben Hall. No Leader, that's a name I don't recognise. I believe you're a new patron as well, so thank you very much, No Leader. No Leader asks, long-time viewer, oh yeah, first-time Patreon, there you go, here. Have you ever considered doing a complete history video on El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron? Wow. I find the backstory development and post-release reception of this game in particular extremely fascinating and would give an arm for a full video. Well, you've definitely caught my attention because I don't know that game. And unprofessionally, while I'm recording a video, I'm just going to search for it. Is it an RPG? It looks pretty good. Is it like an action game or something? It looks really good. It looks really good. Yeah, it's an action video game. It's the sort of game that I'm actually interested in. This is why I would get an Xbox 360, because I still want to experience games like this. I'm a big action fan game, not like first-person shooter, but like action adventure, and that's what this looks like. That would be a good one, perhaps, but honestly, this is the first I've ever learnt of the game, so probably not for a while. But thank you very much, No Leader, for being a patron and asking the question. It's definitely a game I want to look into now. Perhaps I'll do a full, perhaps I'll do a live stream of it one day. Yes. Tomek Grabowski asks, what is your favourite gaming related item which you own? Is it a console, a game, a figurine, or maybe something completely different, some other kind of merchandise? For me, it's going to be pretty hard to beat my very original Mega Drive, which I'm so happy that I still own because I sold all the games, sadly. And, you know, obviously got most of them back now, but yeah, I think my very original Mega Drive is something that I'm very happy that I still own. What else though? I own Knuckles Chaotix until about a year or so ago, until I needed to sell it. I can't think of anything better than my Mega Drive. I really can't. I love my Mega Drive. I think that's what it's got to be. My Mega Drive. Actually, my copy of Sonic 3 and Knuckles is still original. So my original Mega Drive with Sonic 3 and Knuckles in that original. I think that's what it is. Definitely, it's got to be those. I've lost all my voice. I need a drink. I'm trying to drink more water. Right, okay, we've got a couple more questions. Tim Labonte asks, Sophie's Choice, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, everyone knows that's my favourite game. Sonic 3 and Knuckles or Streets of Rage? Who gets to live? Guys. Now, Streets of Rage has one of the greatest soundtracks ever made. I would argue it's a little bit more timeless than Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is my favourite game of all time, so obviously I'm going to move to that. And for me, the Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and even going, the Sonic 3 and Knuckles has some of the greatest music in any video game ever. And it's not just because I believe Michael Jackson made the majority of it. I absolutely adore those soundtracks. Probably more than Streets of Rage, which is a crazy thing to say, but better music, better gameplay. I adore Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's got to be Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I'm afraid. Absolutely. So, easy answer, I'm afraid. Although, take Streets of Rage from me and we've got a fucking fight on our hands, mate. So lastly, we have Creamy Elephant, who's written all, can you see all that? All of that. So, he asks, what are your thoughts on Nintendo muscling into the emulation scene and forcing MU Paradise to remove their entire library of games, not exclusive to Nintendo systems? The emulation communities have drastically helped keep the retro gaming scene alive, and with no convenient way to legally buy many of these older titles, games are often forced to resort to overpriced resellers on eBay. In many cases, games are out of print, and the original developers' publishers have long since been out of business. I don't condone piracy, but the nurturing of such ROM sites surely the neutering of such ROM sites surely impacts the accessibility of older games and brings up the conversation of video game preservation. Yes, just so you guys know, eventually, when I have more time on my hands, I do want to reopen my second Slopes Game Room channel and do a lot more just in front of the camera talking points. It's not going to take away from my main channel, but I want to do it. And basically, this whole MU Paradise takedown thing from Nintendo is something that I want to sit and talk to the camera about. I want to get this off my chest because I tell you what, it's horrific. It's the worst thing going. Taking down the odd fan game, I can sort of understand, like the way Nintendo did with another Metroid remake, 2 remake, because obviously they had there were talks of the Metroid 2 remake happening. So I understand when they do that sort of stuff, although I don't like it. Even the same with Sega and their Streets of Rage remake. You know, I don't like it when these things happen, but I understand why it happens. Taking down an entire website's emulation, oh dear, that's not good. Now I understand, you know, you've got your NES Mini and your SNES Mini, which is, you know, technically the way you should if you're a fan of Nintendo, buy the games. But there's like, what, 25, 30 games on the SNES and the NES, like something like that. That's such a tiny percentage to what they've taken down. Probably, actually definitely, way less than 1%. There are so many incredible hidden gems, and it's the reason I watch channels like Game Dave, people like Jimmy Happer, and read blogs like VG Junk and stuff like that, because they show off games that are still 20, 30 years old that interest me, that I've never ever heard of. Like, it's insane. And when I want to go and experience those games, what do? If there was a way of me chucking SNK or whatever the company is, £5 to play them, I would do that, but there isn't. So you have to go to places like MU Paradise to download it, because there's no other way you can play it at all, unless you go to eBay, just like Creamy Elephant says there, and go and buy this game for, I don't know, God knows what was, probably some of these games are in the hundreds and if not thousands of pounds, which I'm not going to do just to try out some cool looking game that I didn't know existed. Classic video game, it's so important to keep those sort of things alive and keep stories coming and stuff. I mean, it's basically what I built my channel on, and it's what I enjoy. So I am so anti people like Nintendo taking down those games. You want to take down Mario Brothers for the NES and Metroid for the NES and I don't know, like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for the SNES, be my guest. And I whatever, you know, those games are easily accessible. But oh my God, Nintendo, don't take down the whole of MU Paradise. That's killer. It's so killer. You're not gaining anything from me having to go to eBay to buy something off of someone else anyway. So if you're not offering it, why take it down? And like I say, half of those games you don't even have any say in anyway. It's a real shame. And it sounds to me like I'm in the same boat as Creamy Elephant. This sort of stuff just shouldn't have happened. Game preservation is so important. Look at the Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet thing I done recently. You know, like, you don't get the same experience playing it at home, but it's the only way for you to get some kind of experience and see the artwork and see the graphics that developers spent a long time creating. Yeah, because I still have been told that that's the only arcade system in the world. So if you wasn't at Play Expo at the weekend, you weren't going to play it. So emulation sites are so incredibly important. With all that said, I think pretty much every single YouTuber has a nice big folder full of all the ROMs they need, you know, like, so do it as many times as you want, Nintendo. All it's going to do is get it in the headlines and make more people want to just go on torrent sites and download massive ROM packs or share them themselves via Google Drives and Dropboxes. I don't condone piracy, but come on. This isn't piracy. You can't buy this game anymore. Yeah, it is. You know what I'm saying. I think it's so bad. I'm very anti it. Yeah, there you go. Obviously, you can see my opinion on that, and I'm quite strongly passionate about it as well. But anyway, guys, yes, that was my Q&A. I do apologise for taking so long, as usual. When I start taking this whole YouTube game a little bit more seriously towards the back end of this year, yeah, these are going to be coming out a lot more fluent. There'll be set days for it, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I would like to open up that second channel, and on top of that, put more videos on this channel. So if you do want to help out with that, then click the link below to join up to my Discord, not my Discord, my Patreon. And you can do so. You can also sign up to my Discord, and I highly suggest you do. There's I think there's like 500 odd people in there now, and it's a really great community. And we've got some cool admins. Actually, Creamy Elephant is one of those cool admins. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you now with which one should we do first? We'll do the YouTube panel first with me, Larry Bundy, Nostalgia Nerd, Daz from Did You Know Gaming, myself, Kim Justice, Ashins, and Octavius Kitten. We're all on this YouTube panel, so if you want to check that out, continue watching the video now. And if you want to jump straight to the Digitiser panel, there will be a link below, a timestamp for you to go and do that. But anyway, thank you all so much, Patreons and people that watch this video. It really is a big help to the channel. Like I say, if you want to win those, I'm pointing over there because that's where they are. The posters for the Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage, and Sonic the Hedgehog Silver Coin, limited edition coin. Then go down below, check the Gleam link, and yeah, get yourself some extra chances on winning them. completely free. I'm going to send them all over, I don't care, and make sure you check out the company that sent them over to me, because they just did it out of the kindness of their heart. There you go. Anyway, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.
Now, I'm Dan Wood.
I'm Ravi Abbott.
And we host the UK's biggest weekly retro gaming podcast. Now, our show comes out every Friday. Not only do we talk about what's been happening in the world of retro over the last week, covering news stories and old releases and new releases for classic systems, but also our show every week has an interview. Now, we get on veterans from the video game industry to talk about their stories, but also we get YouTubers on regularly as well, because today, that is where you go to get information about classic games, and I think, you know, YouTube is really the go-to place for retro gaming these days. And we are very lucky to have a great community of retro gaming YouTubers here in the UK. So our panel today has got some of our finest choices on. We'll start from the end there, Sarah. Just please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about your channel as well.
I'm all tangled up with Ashens at the moment. Hang on. Great stuff, for goodness sake. Hello, I'm Octavius. I do a channel where I mostly have a mental breakdown, but I also cover really, really, really bad games because they're the best kind of games.
Hello, I'm Stuart Ashen, aka Ashens, and my channel is bad. By which I mean good. No, I don't.
Hi, I'm Kim Justice. I do documentaries about old computers, old consoles, review some incredibly weird things from time to time. It's a very British channel. Yeah, I don't really do American stuff. I don't even really know it exists. So yeah, that's me pretty much.
Hey there guys, I'm DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room. I'm most known for my Kick Scammer series and the Complete History series, where I look into the complete retrospective of video games. Yeah, that's me.
Hello, my name is Daz. I am part of a channel called Did You Know Gaming, where we talk about sort of video game trivia and just little known information about series and random bits to do with the gaming industry.
Hello, my name is Peter Lee. I run the channel Nostalgia Nerd, where I get disproportionately excited about hardware from about 30 years ago, which is a weird trait to have.
Hello you, I am Guru Larry. I run the YouTube channel youtube.com/Larry, and I cover weird anecdotes from gaming history and sort of hilariously stupid drama over the years, I think.
Well, it would be good to... Yeah, I'm going to use your mic. So it would be good to find out kind of your earliest gaming memory from childhood, each of you. We'll start with you, Larry. What kind of got you started in video games and computers?
I've got a much older brother, and he brought home a Atari VCS from W.H. Smith's, you know, when they used to sell games back in the day. And we used to play games on that, but we're so poor we couldn't afford to buy games. We used to rent them from a local electrical TV repair shop. So that's my fame. And the earliest game I can remember playing is Combat, the two tanks. And I got accused of cheating because I was really good at it.
So my dad was a programmer quite early on. So in about 1985, he brought back a ZX Spectrum and loaded up a game called Jetpack, and I was just captivated by controlling this little guy on the screen. I couldn't play it because I was probably a bit too young to do it, but just seeing these visuals moving about and being in control of them kind of engaged me, and from that point onwards, I was just drawn in for life.
I don't really remember, because I've had video games since I was basically born. I have 3 older brothers, so I couldn't help but get into video games. I think one of my earliest I really think of is playing the Amiga and a game called Degeneration, but I don't know if that was my first game. I have no idea. It's been too long.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's hard to know exactly what your first game was, but my earliest gaming memories were on the Amstrad CPC 464, which came in just after I was born. One of the 2 games was Oh Mummy, which is a maze game where you had to run away from mummies, and the other one was Bridget. And if anyone's played Bridget, where you have to, you remember Bridget? You had to start from the top and get to the bottom, but close the bridges, and it was absolutely impossible, especially for like a 3 or 4 year old, however old I was at the time.
So my dad used to work for Amstrad, and one day, I think it was like about 1989, he bought a ZX Spectrum home, and that was basically it from then. I just got into all like the magazines, played a lot of the old games on the cover tapes and all of that. I can't really remember what my first game was. It was probably something like the all-time classic Monte Carlo Casino by Codemasters. Does anyone know that game? I think I saw one hand, so at least that was one more than I expected.
I think I saw a tumbleweed.
Yeah, probably that too.
My older sister says in the late 70s, in sort of pubs and open areas, when I saw a Pac-Man machine or something, I would become sort of obsessed with it. Nobody had put any coins in it, of course, because I was too young, but I think my first proper games I would have played would have been on one of her friend's Atari VCS. Couldn't tell you what it was, hopefully not E.T., but yeah, I think I was always obsessed with, you know, here's television, but on this thing you can make the things on the screen move yourself, which is now why I make films.
This is not awkward at all. Hello, Stuart. My first gaming memory would absolutely be when I was about 5 years old. My half-brother had a blatant rip-off of a Pac-Man handheld called Puck-Man, which looked exactly like Pac-Man, played exactly like it. It used to take about 200,000 D batteries and ran out in about 30 minutes, but I was obsessed with it. So that was my first experience of gaming, and after that moved on to a little bit of the Master System, bit of Alex Kidd. Get right in there with the classics, yeah.
Well, Stuart, we all know you've played some pretty good books recently. Have you kind of found any new terrible games you've seen?
Frequently. Bridget is on there, you'll be pleased to hear, Daniel. Yeah, it was a tie-up between that and Roland on the Run for the last book, but Roland on the Run just pipped it by annoying me slightly more.
I'm annoyed, actually. I played that for the first time since I was a kid, and I always remember Bridget being a really good game because I was only 3 or 4 when I played it.
That's the only excuse.
Yeah.
I'll let you off.
Is that the train one?
No, Bridget was...
No, the Roland on the Run.
Yeah, Roland on the Run is a train one, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a reverse Frogger, wasn't it, almost?
Yeah, kind of, but it makes no sense. It's almost impossible.
I never worked out how to play that game. I did a Roland video, I still couldn't work out how to play it.
It's the worst of the Roland games, and that's really saying something. Roland being Amstrad's mascot, and they didn't understand the concept of a mascot, so he's different in every game. And I don't mean he just looks different, like in one game he's a flea, in the next game he's a robot, in the next one he's a man in a hat.
He's a giant cube as well in one, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a cube.
Yeah.
I think they got loads of different programmers to make them, didn't they, at the same time? And they just chucked them together and they were like, yeah, Roland for everything.
Exactly, yeah.
What's the
the flea? No, just call him Roland. Like, literally, that was what they did.
How short was that meeting? We want you to make a game based on our mascot Roland. Okay, bye!
Yeah. What does he look like? Don't know, don't care, bye.
It's very typical Amstrad, really, isn't it? Just throw stuff together like they're all in one hi-fis and all that, like hi-fi stroke VCR.
Exactly. But my most recent discovery was one that somehow eluded me for years called, I think it's Graham Souness's Vector Soccer.
Oh, God.
And it's for the Amiga, and it runs... Well, I mean, it's so ugly, it's unbelievable. You've just got like a sphere and some triangles, and that's your players. And it runs at like 3 frames a second or something.
It's quite possibly the worst football game ever.
That's quite an achievement as well.
Is that or like World Cup Carnival?
Yeah. So that's my tip for the bottom for this week.
Well, Larry, I know that you got a Mega Drive when it was very new, didn't you?
Yes, I got from sort of import from Japan.
What did you love about that system then? What memories have you got?
Well, the first games I bought from were eSWAT and New Zealand Story, which I spent years trying to tell everyone it did come out on the Mega Drive because it never come out over here. But yeah, I just love the Mega Drive. Sort of great memories of it. So.
And did you have 32X and Mega CD?
Oh yeah, I was spoiled. I was. So yeah, no, it's great. I really like the 32X. I don't know why it gets. I think it's all these angry reviewers on the internet get an unfair bashing. I mean, the only downside was it didn't have many games because they cancelled it too early. If they carried on, basically if they brought it out 2 years before, it would have been a great system. And it had games like Daytona that was being developed for it and stuff like that.
It's got an awesome Space Harrier.
Space Caliber?
Harrier.
Space Harrier. Well, I don't like that. Well, I wanted Outrun. Why didn't that come out for it? The only one people actually care about that didn't come out.
It would have been nice if they finished Virtual Hamster as well. Virtua Hamster. That's for the 32X, wasn't it?
It was. Basically, it was the, you know the Bart's Nightmare when he's going down the water slide? It's basically that and as a whole game.
But you're a hamster.
Yeah, but you're a hamster instead of Homer Simpson. So.
Well, gaming television was massive then as well. I know you were actually on a show with Violet Berlin, Head to Head.
Yes.
Does anyone remember Head to Head?
Oh, there's Violet Berlin. Hello, Violet. Hello, Violet.
That one person again. What was that experience like then, going on that show?
Well, it was weird. It was filmed in an abandoned mansion in St John's Wood, and they just got rid of the sets. They just previously filmed a series of a Super Mario game show, where two kids play like speed running levels and getting the most coins and stuff like that. So, but it was weird. You sat in front of a giant brain. You sat in front of a 7-inch screen, so you could hardly see, especially when you're playing like split-screen Mario Kart. And I was 14. I had much better eyesight back then. But yeah, it was quite weird. And I used to win weird prizes like Yahtzee, because every child likes Yahtzee.
I was wondering, kind of, just to the general panel, which one do you prefer then, Saturn or 32X? I thought that would be a good thing.
I think the 32X is massively underrated. It could have been so much more.
Brother.
Yeah. The Saturn was good. You know, it was a good rival to the PlayStation. It came along. But the 32X, it was misplaced, true. But if they put a bit more marketing in it, a bit more money, a bit more time, it could have made some really good games for that platform.
I think
and 2 years earlier.
That's one of the things about the 32X is that the reason it's so bashed by everybody on the internet is because people bought it when it was new and it had nothing. And then it continued to have nothing, and so people really did just waste money on it in a way. And with the Saturn, there was always just nothing on it and it never got cheaper. And it was just kind of a waste of time on Sega's part, I think.
And you couldn't pirate it for years either.
Yeah, exactly. You can't even emulate it very well nowadays.
No.
So the Dreamcast, that was when Sega brought it back. The 32X and the Saturn really kind of took Sega down a notch after the Mega Drive.
It also, the Saturn, it doesn't use polygons, does it? It uses square...
Quadrangles.
Quadrangles, that's it, yeah. So it's like really hard to port Saturn games to another system because everyone else uses polygons and everyone else, and they just use a square one.
Well,
It did awesome 2D though.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
2D, and that was.
You could get a plug-in card for the PC, which used the Saturn graphics, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
You could actually
Titan or something, wasn't it called? Something,
I can't.
Well, the thing is that the Saturn actually uses a modified GeForce graphics card from NVIDIA.
Yes.
Ridiculously expensive now if you want to buy one. I mean, you're spending like well over £1,000 now if you want to get one.
Yeah.
So it's just cheap to get a Saturn, like 40 quid. So.
What's interesting though is the Saturn actually has a few games which are on other consoles that are ports, and they're actually better versions, which I find really bizarre. Like Resident Evil 2 is actually better on the Saturn than it was on... Resident Evil 1, sorry, was better on the Saturn than it was on the PlayStation.
And all the Capcom fighting games.
Yeah, and Castlevania Symphony at Night, which is the best game ever made.
Never come out over here though, it's annoying.
No, it was Nocturne of the Moonlight. It was only released in Japan, which is a real shame.
Wasn't the 32X launch the one where Sega said, here's our new 32X, but when bringing the Saturn out soon, and totally crippled themselves?
Yeah, they did it straight after. It's such a shame. If they carried on with the 32X for a little bit longer, they would have realised that the world wanted, at the time, more 3D games, and then they would have maybe changed the way Saturn was put out. I think if they stayed a little bit longer with the 32X, but retrospectively, I think the Saturn is the best console of that
Saturn
generation.
was designed to be a 2D machine,
Yeah,
principally.
it is the ultimate 3D machine.
3D stuff was only like an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, they forced that on there because, I mean, they had to, because that's what the world wanted. But
I thought it was a gimmick.
Some of the best 2D games are on the Saturn. You know, like really unheard. I mean, like, even things like Shinobi X, one of the ones that no one really talks about in the Shinobi series. That's an incredible game. Shooting up in value as well. Actually, you bought it, didn't you?
Yeah.
From the electro shop down the road from me. Yeah.
Yeah, the 32X came out at pretty much exactly the same time as the Saturn in Japan. So, and Japan really didn't want to push it because it was kind of seen as an American project after a while. So Sega were almost kind of competing against themselves, different divisions.
Oh, they hated each other, the two divisions.
And
Japan won in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, because the Saturn did really well in Japan. Like, it actually beat the Nintendo 64. It was second in that generation. So they basically got all that success in Japan while screwing over America and Europe. At the same time, I think that was just part of like the political war in the company at that
Yeah,
time.
sadly, we wanted those 3D games no matter how crap they were, you know.
Well, getting back to classic gaming television, I know Games Master always gets a lot of love, but from watching your channel, Peter, it wasn't your favourite show, was it?
Well, I mean, looking here, I mean, this is the perfect set for Games Master, isn't it? I mean, you could have like Dominic Diamond back there; it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
Patrick Moore.
Patrick, you couldn't have Patrick Moore, could you? Obviously,
I bring his urn along or something.
that'd be a very different type of show.
Put a monocle on an urn. There you go. It's the same thing. It's just to shake it around to be sarcastic every 5 seconds.
Bad taste. all
That's
right.
what you can do, special effects these days. Just get some old footage, just have his mouth move. Just have
Well,
some bad
I went
impersonation.
for an audition for Games Master when it first started, and Patrick Moore wasn't even intended to be the original presenter. They actually wanted a baby, like like Teletubbies had the baby. They wanted a baby that spoke. And also they were thinking about Heinz Wolf at one point as well, because he would have been a good alternate, wouldn't he? Sorry.
But what you were saying, my favourite show was Bad Influence, obviously, because that's
Good old Andy Crane.
good old Andy Crane. Yeah,
got no
but
brain.
Because it was a proper sort of news show. At the time we had we had Digitiser, obviously, which we were talking about yesterday. But other than that, it was a weekly update of things which were really exciting, because the 90s were an incredibly exciting time for new technology. I mean, virtual reality came out, and we thought that's amazing. It turned out to be utter shite, but at the time, it was really exciting.
And also, do you remember when they had the PlayStation on there? It's like they had the first PlayStation in the country.
That's the
it
episode
was-
I remember the most. I remember that, yeah.
It was like a spotlight on it, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Andy whipped back the veil. He was like, whoa, look at this machine.
But it was so exciting because we didn't have the internet to build up our excitement. And that. So it's, what we got
I
was
remember
like
when,
3-month-old magazines and.
And what they called the super consoles at that time, that was their nickname.
Oh yeah, they
wasn't
used to go down the line, didn't they? They were like, here's the 3DO, here's the Jaguar, that's old hat now. Here's the PlayStation.
It's been out at least
Saturn.
3 months. Yeah.
I remember when Bad Influence, they had the something called the Mega PC on, and it was it's a PC. It was an AntStream product. Wasn't it? It was a PC, but it was also a Mega Drive, so it had like a slot that. It was like, oh, you can do your word processing and all that, do all your homework, and then after that you can play Sonic. And like to an 8-year-old or whatever, that just seemed like the most incredible thing.
Yeah, 8-year-olds absolutely love spreadsheets, don't they? So.
Well, yeah, but it's two things in one, Larry.
Now I can convince the parents.
Exactly.
It would have been amazing if you could play Sonic in a window within Windows, but you had to literally slap the entire PC off. So all your spreadsheets and stuff, just slide them aside, put the Mega Drive in, and it was just, you might as well just have a separate console with a separate TV on the side. But
Yeah, that was, I think, the reason why it failed.
Well, they had the Terra drive in Japan, which let you do that. Put it in Windows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and don't forget the Sega PC range that they had as well.
What? No, we don't.
Sega PC range.
No, sorry, we don't. You
You had the
stop
Sega,
making
you could
things up,
play.
Daniel.
You could play like Comic Zone and Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Oh,
there was a
them
few
ones,
others. Yeah, on the Sonic PC range.
ported
Yeah,
for the PC, right?
yeah. Started off with
that's the
their
thing, that
version of
they were
Sega
enhanced
as
if you use
well.
that graphics card. Was Saturn one, wasn't it? Like you could get Sega Rally for it, and it was enhanced if you had the Saturn graphics card.
I'll say yes.
Yeah, just nod, just nod. Yeah.
The other cool Bad Influence thing was whenever they talked about piracy or modding your consoles, like they tell you everything about how to do it. They'd go into like Xcopy, like the famous program for copying all your Amiga discs, and then just at the end, like Andy would go, "But be careful, if you do this, it might blow up your system."
They were probably heavily against illegal activities, weren't they? They would scare kids to death from copying discs.
But they told you everything about how to do it at the same time.
But she did smash it with a hammer about after 3 attempts. You remember that?
What, pirate?
Yeah, she used to smash up her pirate copies she made.
I must have blocked that out and blurred my image.
No, yeah.
What do you guys think about modern gaming TV? Because we had the recent Rob Beckett show and there was also Go 8-Bit. Do you think there should be more stuff there?
I think the world has moved on a little bit, and the fact they just use stand-up comedians in it as well. I wish they used some people from the internet, even if like someone we don't like. So, but yeah,
I think it'd be good if Dave picked up Digitiser the show, because apparently that's a really good show which is coming out soon.
Plug. Let's talk about the arcades, because obviously that was where we all went back in our younger days. I know, Kim, you're an avid arcade goer. What was so special about the arcades when you were growing up?
Well, I grew up and born and raised in Southend-on-Sea, and Southend-on-Sea obviously got the famous for having the longest pleasure period. Had loads of arcades. I think I first dragged my parents there when I was like 7 years old, and literally just every week, like, come to the arcades, and it was like the glorious time. You had like Simpsons, Street Fighter 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Sunset Riders, so many amazing games. And eventually, like, my parents just said to me, right, they actually closed for the winter, so, you know, we can't go there anymore. And then a month later, my dad accidentally took me down the seafront again, just drove me down there and was like, hang on, they're not closed at all.
Lies.
Lie. You lied to me. But yes, I mean, the whole of the 90s, just the arcade scene there, and it's a shame to see what it is now, because generally most arcades, I mean, they have nothing like the machines that are out there. It's all kind of really bad modern things, like, you know, you get ticket dispensers, you know, you get your takes on Angry Birds or whatever, and it's...
Oh, you turn yourself off, mate. Hello. But have you seen the... Jesus Christ. Have you seen the incredible prizes on offer in the arcades, mate? You can get, like, teapots and, like, little birds made of slinkies.
Slinkies?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Holy S.
Hello. I got a Batman fidget spinner once. That was the best prize I think I've ever got out of an arcade. Because it actually did something.
No, the best, because I live in London and that, so going to the seaside to arcades was like the highlight of my year. And to me back then, going to the arcades, it's like the cinema of video games. That you saw these brand new games coming out, and you knew they were coming out to your system like 6 months to a year's time. So it's always exciting to play them in their sort of best vision.
Yeah, because back in the early 90s, I mean, the games that were in the arcades were a lot more advanced than the games you could get at home mostly. It wasn't until PlayStation came on when you actually got games that were pretty much arcade perfect. They used the same hardware to make them, and that was kind of one of the contributing factors to the arcades falling by the wayside. Because now, I mean, games in the arcade they're basically equal or mostly inferior to the games you get at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I noticed recently when I went to an arcade, I was playing around with those 2p machines, and I saw a couple of £5 notes, really, really close, and I was like, I'm going to get these £5 notes, and then I realised what they've all done now, down in Hastings, near where I live, they're not real £5 notes. They instead of, you know, the Queen's face is like a Fortnite character printed on there or something like that, and I'm like, they're all fake, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this? I've just spent a tenner trying to get these. Like,
the ones in Great Yarmouth at the penny machines that would bring them forward were actually sellotaped onto the end, and of course all the coins mean you can't see them until it gets to that certain point. You're like, you swines, you lied to me, and now I believe in nothing.
I think one thing with arcades, like the reason those coin pushes are fun is because it's the only place where you can really play that, you know? Like you can play Pac-Man at home now, so what's the point in going to the arcade and paying money? But like things like Sega Rally, right? You can't play that at home in the same way, or Dance Dance Revolution, or whatever else. Those are the main draws for an arcade nowadays.
Which are gimmicky stuff, you mean?
Yeah,
stuff you can't emulate at home, like steering wheels and...
It's not bad that it's gimmicky. Like, there's a lot of really good games, like Bishi Bashi Special, which is amazing, but you can only really get the same experience by having a machine dedicated to it, which is kind of a shame that we don't really have that very much anymore.
Well, it's just too much space. I mean, look at all the fad of, like, Guitar Hero. Everybody had tons of plastic guitars, and they're worthless now. You just stick them on top of the wardrobe or something for the rest of eternity, don't you? So,
bloody hell. I remember on the ZX Spectrum I had a jackpot machine, and I loaded it up and I was sitting there rolling the reels, and after 10 minutes I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I'm not trying to win money here. It's just that arcade experience does not translate at all, does it? I mean, it's a good attempt, but just pointless.
I remember, like, my parents were a little bit unsure about hearing about this new Mortal Kombat game coming out, and, you know, we weren't allowed to get the bus on our own at that sort of age and that sort of thing, but me and my friend did sneak all our way to Hastings just to, oh, there it is, the Mortal Kombat machine. That was the experience to be able to go and, I saw it in like a random Sega Mean Machines magazine or something like that, and I went all the way to Hastings just to go and find a Mortal Kombat machine, and it blew my mind. You just don't get that anymore.
Well, Daniel, you cover kind of failed Kickstarter, so are we going to be seeing any Spectrum-based ones at the moment?
Aha, yes. I might have someone helping me work on a pretty in-depth story. Yeah, I can't say too much just yet, but yeah, I've got some good inside stuff on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, which ones that you have covered are like the most outrageous ones? Have you got one that sticks in your mind?
Yeah, definitely. You as the voice, Ashins.
Yes, I remember.
So I did a Kickstarter video based on the on this guy that was a movie extra. He was in like The Walking Dead. He was done quite well for himself. He was in like Fast and Furious movies, yeah, pretty big budget movies. And basically he had like 6 different Kickstarter campaigns. He was quite a bit of a board game geek as well. And basically every time he did one, he'd start running out of money, and then he'd start another one to hopefully pay a little bit more for the recent one, and then do another one. It kept going on 6 times, and he never delivered on any of it. So I did this hardcore video, really slamming the guy. I think, what did I call the video? 6, the Kickstarter scum that run away with your money 6 times. It was pretty hardcore, but he, almost £500,000 or something like that he took away. And as my wife was helping me make it, because there was just so much in there, I got her to help me write the script. I remember looking over and just saying, I wonder if this guy will ever see this video. And then a few hours after it went live, he became a Patreon to me. And I was like, whoa. And I didn't know whether I should feel scared.
Tell him how much he donated as well, so the big spender.
Oh, he's only like $1.
Yeah.
But I was just like, is it a fake? But as a Patreon, the owner of a Patreon, you can see their email address, and it was his actual website. And I was like, I don't know what I should do. I don't care, he's giving me £1, whatever. But I ended up giving him a refund when what he tried to do was take down the video via Patreon. I'm like, well, you're not going to do that. Because you're not going to, yeah, it got really bad. He tried to send a DMCA to my Patreon to take it all down and all that stuff. I said I'll remove the post, but my Patrons know who I am. I don't really care. Yeah, it was a scary moment for me.
You just have to wait 500,000 months and then you've taken the money back. That's the thing.
Yeah, it dawned on me that I probably shouldn't be taking money from someone that I'm damning for stealing. Yeah, so I gave him a refund and just blocked him.
I think a lot of people that grew up in Britain will have memories of using acorn machines at school, like Granny's Garden on the BBC Micro.
Yes.
You covered that quite a lot, Peter, and the original acorn. Were they a fond memory of yours?
Well, we're not covered enough, are they? They're just seen so much as educational machines, but they need more credit than they deserve, because they were such powerful machines, and they had good games on them. Like Elite came out on the BBC Micro, and that's an amazing game from the year it came out in.
What's the port like compared to the Spectrum one?
The Spectrum port is pretty good.
What's the BBC port like compared to the Spectrum?
Oh, it's a bigger game. There's more stuff. There's a larger area to explore. The graphics are better. There's more sort of things you can do to progress and build your ship up. It's just a better game. And they were always in schools. So we always had BBC Micros and Acorns in my school. And the thing that first caught my eye was the logo machine and the turtle they used to have. So you could get the logo programming language and you could do it on screen and tell the computer where to draw a picture. But we had a turtle with a pen in the sport tour, and you could draw a picture on the screen, and then this turtle would fly off across the sport tour and do it on this massive sheet of paper. And I was like, my God, this is incredible. Yeah, we can get turtles everywhere drawing massive pictures. And that was another moment for me which kind of captured me and then dragged me into this world.
Eventually we just got printers. I think they're a little bit better and more efficient.
It took us 3 years to write a letter, didn't it?
Hello!
Well, Sarah, you cover kind of obscure systems in your channel as well. So I've seen a recent video on the Casio Loopy. Why did that interest you?
Well, to be honest, it interested me because it was made exclusively for women, and obviously being a woman, I just thought it was quite funny. Being female does kind of cause some issues online, I have to say, unfortunately. I don't really consider myself to be male or female, I just kind of, do whatever, but the character Octavius is ostentatiously female, so I thought it would be good to cover a system which was supposed to be marketed towards women, and I just found it hilarious. The idea of a load of guys, it must have been blokes, in a room going, you know what girls like? fucking stickers. They go mad for stickers, mate. Let's just do a console, just fucking stickers everywhere. They'll be so happy and so excited. And if it had been marketed as a sticker maker, fine. You know, we all love a bit of stickers. We all agree we love a bit of stickers. Stick them everywhere, just annoy everyone.
Those Mega Drive stickers, man.
Those sticker booth arcade machines in Japan.
Yeah,
they're like the biggest selling thing of all time, mate.
Absolutely, but
one of those at Sega World, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome, but if you actually say, oh, this is actually a console with games that girls will like, and it's literally, I mean, one of them is literally a sticker book that you print out, and then you go, look, I've got a sticker book about, it's a romance between a teacher and a pupil, so it's a bit weird, but it's also like, well, okay, I've got that good. Now what? What am I doing with my life? I'm really sad and alone in my room by myself with no friends.
It's like the small feminine brain can only handle this activity. Let's create this for them. It would be amazing.
I love that, and it's irritating because there was what was it called? There was a Super Cassette Lady Vision, which was a female version of the Super Cassette Vision, and it's pink, and it comes in a little pink briefcase, and it's fucking awesome. Like, imagine walking around with that, being like, yay, I'm female. And I've got a Super Cassette Vision. That kind of thing's kind of cool, I think, like having different colours for different consoles, but having an actual console that's like, no, this is for girls only, and it is the stickers, and you will like the stickers. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just find that hilarious. Yeah.
I also did a review of the Loopy. Did you have the game where the entire plot revolves around you going to a fashion school and avoiding your creepy uncle? like that's the plot of the game. And I thought the Japanese translator I had was messing with me, and she's like, no, you have never been to Japan, you do not understand that creepy uncle hassling you while you're at school is a perfectly viable narrative for a video game. So that's one to look out for.
I did actually play that one. That's the one I enjoyed most, actually. Because there is actually a certain level of gameplay to it. It's like, I've got to avoid this bloody creepy uncle, for fuck's sake. It's really funny. I especially enjoyed that was the first video that I had where people started telling me that I was copying you. There was a lot of comments that were like, oh, this is clearly an
that's a rite of passage if you get accused of ripping off Ashens.
Yeah.
This
is how I know that I'm starting out. I'm really getting in there now.
I mean, the problem is we look so similar.
Or you get confused for Guru Larry. Which...
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody confused me. Just being a fat bloke on the internet, everybody thinks I'm me. But, yeah.
Well, Stuart, you always cover quite naff stuff on your channel. You've been nicknamed the King of Tat.
Why, thank you. I feel warm inside, like I'm about to vomit.
King Tat.
King Tat. The worst of all Batman villains.
I mean, does Tat always appeal to you? Because I know you do like Pound World series and...
Well, yeah, I do like
Pound baby.
I do like to see the very worst available in any consumer section, whether it be video games, toys, safety things for babies. No, I haven't actually got into that yet. But yeah, I don't know. I have an obsession with how badly things can go wrong when they just want to throw something out for money. And yeah, video games and consoles and things like that are the most extreme examples, I think. Because if you can't play it and have fun, what is the point of it?
Well, Daz, I know that you do video game quizzes as well, because your channel is very trivia based and stuff with Ashens. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, we've only really done one quiz so far. That was at the Norwich Gaming Festival. But it was pretty good. Generally speaking, it's just ask questions that people won't know the answers to, and then you get a lot of complaints, and it's great.
Have you seen a renewed interest? Have you seen a renewed interest in kind of retro gaming quizzes? Because everywhere I walk,
for sure. Yeah. So, like in Norwich, there's a gaming cafe that we often attend, and they do sort of a gaming quiz every month. And we realised people love gaming quizzes, so we're thinking maybe doing more at sort of events and stuff, which could be good. With Pete and Stuart here, we're now moving into a new office together, which will be very, very good, so we can arrange for events and whatnot under the new company name of QuickTime Events, because we're very clever.
Well, Daniel, I know you're a big Sega fan, and you and Kim have actually been working with Sega recently. So what's that been like? What have you been doing?
Well, I mean, primarily, obviously, with me being heavily Mega Drive based, my channel, they got hold of me. But they got hold of me a long time ago and said, "Do you know what an NDA is?" And I was, "Yeah, I do." You know, that sort of thing. There's something coming up, and then they just went quiet for about 3 or 4 months, and then when they finally came back, they said, "Yep, time to sign it," and then they brought us in to play some of those Mega Drive games on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I've done a few things. Yeah, we played some of the Mega Drive games, and also because Sega are publishing 2 Point Hospital, which is coming out pretty soon, and they kind of had me down there to like look behind the scenes, do like previews of it, which has been quite cool.
Sega actually also asked me to do it, but then I reviewed their Sega Mega Drive collection, and then they stopped speaking to me after that, so it's gone rapidly downhill.
Sega wouldn't speak to me in the first place, so at least you had one notch up.
Oh, they just put a restraining order on me because I keep asking for copies of Alex Kidd when the new one's coming out.
So they actually contacted us as well, but we've had a video ready for about 2.5 months, and they've just gone, yeah, well, eventually we'll say yes. So we're just sitting on this Sega video. Eventually you guys might see it. You never know.
To the whole panel, do you guys think that Sega are kind of back on track with stuff like Sonic Mania?
They're on the right step. They're taking the right first.
Sonic Mania is a big step in
Sonic
the right
Mania
direction.
is outstanding. For me personally, I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles on the Mega Drive is my all-time favourite game, and this is close to better than that for me. So it's incredible. They're really definitely on their way. I'd like to see them take a little bit more on the modders community and definitely bring back a new Streets of Rage.
Definitely. I mean, I think, yeah, they need to follow the example of Sonic Mania, which was obviously designed by a guy called Christian Whitehead, who started out as a modder, as a huge fan, made his own port of Sonic CD, which Sega eventually took on and released officially. So yeah, I think they need to do more of that for games like Streets of Rage, maybe even Eternal Champions or something, who knows.
Oh no, that doesn't exist. It's only Virtua Fighter for them.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing that's great about Sonic Mania is that it's actually, so I run another community besides the YouTube thing called the Sprites Resource, where it's all about learning how to do pixel art and sprites and stuff. And a lot of the people who worked on Sonic Mania actually established themselves in the forum. And it's really interesting seeing that Sega are actually getting involved in this kind of modding community, and the smaller artists and everything else who really were doing it as passion, and now they can just do it as a job. It's fantastic.
It's kind of like the opposite of Nintendo's strategy, isn't it? I mean, Nintendo have always kind of kept things well under wraps, and anything you do is a copyright strike. Whereas, yeah, I think Sega are definitely on the right track with reaching out to people who know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with Sega is I don't think we're ever going to have the Sega that we used to have, but I think that's because the games are primarily arcade games. If you buy a game nowadays for, say, 40 quid, that's an arcade game that you're going to quickly pick up and put down, you feel ripped off, but that is what you did back in the day. So I feel like they have a strong back catalogue to be able to become basically the best sort of indie game, cheap sort of download, 10, £15 developers out there. They've got so much at their disposal. There was talks at one point of a new Golden Axe game. We're talking a good 5 or 6 years ago. It was in development. There was actually footage online. But one of the developers said that there were going to be parts of a Golden Axe game where you're going to see references to Outrun. There's going to be, they were throwing it all in there.
Shared universe.
Yeah.
The most ambitious
Gordon Pants just steaming down the road in the Ferrari 340.
I don't know. I have literally no idea how it would have worked, but yeah, apparently it was in development. There's also a Golden Axe TV show / movie that's been greenlit for the longest time. Like, it's probably never going to happen. There's a new House of the Dead game that's just come out as well.
There was a Crazy Taxi movie as well, wasn't there?
Yes, that was. I think it was only in the works. But yeah,
let's go make some crazy money.
See, Crazy Taxi is the perfect example. In that game, is over in 3 minutes. You know, you do the same thing over and over and over.
For a mobile game, because you don't.
Yeah. But then they've not done it properly on mobile. They keep doing all of the weird like pay to win roll. You know, like swipe it left to move left and all that sort of thing. Like, you want a proper Crazy Taxi game.
All I'm going to say is bring back Story of Thor. No one's played it. It was a Mega Drive game. It was absolutely incredible, and they'll never make a new one. They've got so many IPs that people just completely forget about, like Soleil.
Well, there's a sequel of the Saturn, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was Story of Thor 2, but
well, it's a prequel, isn't it? It's a prequel.
Is it?
It's called 2, but it's a prequel.
Yeah. But that was actually a pretty good game, although no one bought it, obviously, because it was on the Saturn.
Also, new single-player Phantasy Star, please. None of this online gubbins.
Well, here's a question for everybody. Why did you start your YouTube channel, and what was the video that really made you take off? We'll start with you, Sarah.
Sorry.
Keep you on your toes.
Hello. I don't really start on a depressing note, but I started my channel because I had a massive mental breakdown. I was head of SEO for Royal Mail and an insurance company, and it just got a little bit too much. I ended up under a table screaming, told my boss to fuck off. Just had a massive mental breakdown, and basically I needed to have something to do at home so I wouldn't go completely mental, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll start a YouTube channel because that's what mental people do.
Well, for me.
all of you lot are mental, let's be honest. Okay, we're all weird here, right? So yeah, that's how it started, and then I think I realized that I was actually starting to get attention that I never thought I would get when I did, which video? I think it was my soft porn adventure video, which I really put, no, I heard the chuckle over there, guys. No, it's not that kind of channel, although some people seem to think it is. It's not. A cat woman
the amount of
cat
effort
is,
that
actually.
video must have taken.
It took forever, but
fully acted out, almost movie-esque thing. It's so impressive.
I did every single character. I had a green screen in a tiny corner of the shittest flat you have ever seen in Ilford. It was when I just started to go back into contract work, and I was in a bad place, and the flat I was living in, you had to go through an actual fly tipping area to get to it. You had to crawl over mattresses and stuff, and there was some very illicit things happening in the doorway usually, and yeah, I think doing that video really made me realize that I had a character that people liked, and even though I only had like 800 subscribers at the time, there was such a good feedback on that I thought, oh, actually, maybe this is a good thing for me to do, and maybe people really like it. And also, acting like a dick on camera is a lot of fun.
People were like, yes, here's someone who'll review the Casio Loopy at last.
Yes, we've all been waiting for this.
What about you, Stuart?
There you go. I kind of did it by accident. Many years ago on a forum, remember those, for an old video games journalist, somebody spotted this pop station rip-off of the Sony PSP when the PSP was the hottest thing in the world, literally, because the batteries were a bit duffy in them. And yeah, I thought, I'm going to buy that as it's a £5, and I'll just improvise a thing showing it off on the sofa, because it doesn't matter what the background is, because like 15 people in the world will ever see it on this forum. One of them forwarded it onto Beta, the big old creative online newsletter. I was going to say used to go out on a Friday, but they've started redoing it recently. Yeah, and it got like 70,000 downloads, because it was in the days before any sort of video sharing site, so you had to download the WMV file from sendfiles.net or whatever. But yeah, 70,000 was insane in those days, and I was like, oh. And of course I'd made it, I hadn't put my website or anything like that, because I didn't think anyone would see it. So therefore 1 million American teenagers were pretending they had made it. And I thought, right, I shall do a second one to prove I did the first, and still forgot to put my website address on because quality. Yeah, and that got even more views, and I was like, oh, well, this is odd. I'm going to do a third one, and that will be it, because people will be sick of it then. They were not sick of it. More people watched that. Then the video sharing sites came out, so I backed Google Video, because I always back the winner. And when that went bust 14 seconds later, because YouTube was purchased by Google, I went over to YouTube in February 2006. My God, that seems a long time ago now. Probably because it is a long time ago. Yeah, and things just sort of escalated from there to the bizarre situation I'm in now.
So I started YouTube because 6 years ago I was doing a uni degree. I was doing a degree in TV production, and just I was on summer break after my first year, and I thought, well, I need something to keep the skills going. So I just thought, and I'd done stuff on forums as well, just like tech stuff, did like reviews for like old games, because that's what I was interested in. So I did a review of a Space Harrier 2 on the Mega Drive, and that was kind of my first one. And first couple like got about 10 views or whatever, but then gradually kind of started going. I think kind of one of my big like early breakthroughs, I did a huge A to Z series on licensed video games, and I actually managed to see the whole project through. I mean, just like games, weird like movie tie-ins, like advert games, like what were some of the strangest ones? Things like, I don't know, Chase the Chuck Wagon, which is an American Atari game, which is a tie-in for a dog food company.
Purina,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that sounds really enticing to everyone, why wouldn't you play a game based on dog food? But all sorts of like interesting games, and that was kind of one of the first series that really started giving me a lot of attention, and I gradually moved from there to actually doing like proper documentaries on companies like Ocean Software, Psygnosis, the Commodore Amiga, and people like Clive Sinclair, Jack Trammell. It just kind of gradually evolved from there over like the 6 years I've been doing it.
Obviously, I got quite into the YouTube, video game videos. Obviously, I watched all the very, very obvious American YouTubers, your angry video game nerds, all that sort of stuff. But I started to really focus in on channels that were doing a little bit more obscure stuff that I didn't know about, that were just really interesting stories. It started with Angry Video Game Nerd when he did the Sword Quest videos, because I just didn't know anything about Sword Quest. And that whole story about how you could win the chalice and the sword, I thought that was just so interesting. And that was one of the big influences for me. Lazy Game Reviews did a video all about DRM and calculators, and that sounds so incredibly boring, but the way he presented it was just, it blew my mind. I was watching Guru Larry for a really long time. I think it was your Thundercats video was one that really pushed me finally over the edge. No, I am going to make my own channel, because I kept talking about it, because I knew a few stories that no one else seemed to be talking about. And if you, I don't know if you can do this, but if you somehow look back at when I started my channel to when I uploaded my first video, it was like a year or maybe 2 years break, because I just kept repeating the same video at home, trying to redo it in different ways. I was trying to be very American and be silly voice, and I was going to be talking like this all the way through my video. It was stupid. And bling bling. Yeah, bling bling. Bum fight fans. No, it's so yeah, I kept redoing it, and then I started seeing people like Lazy Game Reviews had finally done the Amstrad video that I wanted to do. I went, no, I'm not going to hang around anymore, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it professionally-ish. And I did the Roland, the story of Roland, that one we was talking about earlier. And I didn't know how to promote back then. Now, most people don't when they start YouTube channels, and I ran over to the Retro Gamer forums, as in the magazine Retro Gamer, and there was a section just for video submissions, and there was the proper one where you're not supposed to put your stuff, and I did put it in there, and I was sitting there, and there was no response, and I went to bed, and I woke up the next day, and there was a couple of pages of people just saying, that was an incredible video, well done, and it just gave me the boost to constantly find new YouTubers, people like Kim and Nostalgia Nerd. Obviously, Did You Know Gaming, I was probably already watching that, if I'm honest, but just constantly pushing me to try and find more and more subjects that were a little bit obscure that no one had ever covered, and I just went crazy with it. So yeah, the video that blew me up was actually the very first video I put out, and it just gave me so much drive.
I think we started our YouTube channel about 10 years ago. I really don't remember because it's been so bloody long. But for us, we sort of started by posting images on Facebook and Twitter and all this sort of stuff, where it's just like, Did You Know Gaming, picture of something, and then a little tidbit of trivia. And that blew up super quick. It had like 300,000 followers on Facebook or something when we did our first video. And I just enjoy random tidbits of trivia. I like talking crap, really. So we thought, well, we can actually talk the crap in a video, and then we did that. Yeah, and get paid for it. Although sadly, it doesn't seem to work quite like that very much anymore. But at the same time, yeah, I think our big video that blew us up was just the first one, because we already had a following. It had 1 million views in like a week, which was absolutely ludicrous. And I think it was on Pokemon or something boring and basic like that. But yeah, it's pretty easy going, really. Just make videos and talk about video games.
So I was made redundant in about 2011, and so I decided to set my own web development company up, which I did from home. And obviously, being at home running a company, it's quite lonely and a bit boring. So to kind of pad my time out, I would go on to eBay and buy retro things, and then watch YouTube as well. And I started watching LGR quite a lot, and I would watch that while I was making websites. And slowly this pile of retro equipment would build up on one side, and I was watching LGR over here, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I can do something here. So I started making videos about the stuff I was buying, and then I cleared out my parents' house of all my old stuff and brought back old memories of the stuff I used to use. And one of the early videos I had was about, I found a box in my parents' attic which said, "Do not open until the year 2000." And I was like, well, it's 2012 now, I can open this. So I videoed it, And the video is awful. I mean, you watch it back now, I think, what the hell were you thinking? I'm just babbling about some nonsensical rubbish. But I opened it thinking it was some sort of kind of box I'd made, so, what we call time capsule. And it was just some crappy plastic skeleton from a monthly magazine that I'd bunged in there and gone, get that crap out of the way, and chucked it in my parents' loft. But that video seemed to do very well. It's got like 2 million views, and I still shudder when I see it. So I leave it up for the views, but
Is it a skeleton that makes it?
yeah, in part, it's quite creepy. It's like a woman who's got a little pregnant baby inside it, which has all been painted terribly by my 7-year-old hands. It looks like something out of a horror film. So it was quite shocking to see, and from there I thought I'd better up my game and start making better and better videos, which thankfully they are a bit better now than they used to be.
Well, years and years ago, in about 2005, my friend Wes and we presented a live phone-in cheat show on Sky, where people ring up and ask for cheats. Do you remember cheats in video games? Hey, those were the days. Anyhow, we lost our jobs there because they thought Psychic Interactive was more profitable. You know, giving false hope to the bereaved is much more profitable than cheats. Anyhow, I'm never getting a job back there again. Anyhow, yeah, no, so Wes and I was trying to do some ideas of trying to make a new business now, and we come up, this is 2005, we had this wonderful idea of being able to watch video game reviews on a mobile phone. I mean, this is like one of the old clamshell phones, you know, it just didn't happen. We had loads of meetings, like speaking to Game and that, and it just didn't pan out in the end, so we put them on this new thing called YouTube, and they didn't take off, but a website called Screw Attack saw them and decided to pick us up for that. So we're there for a few years, and then we went off on our own. Oh, we don't want that guy on the glasses, but yeah, the less of that, the better.
Shout out to Screw Attack, by the way. Those guys back in the day, they were amazing, right?
Yeah, all the knives in the back, yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Right, we have got a few minutes if you guys have got any questions for any of our panel. Just raise your hands, Ravi will run over with the mic.
Hi, I've got a question for Larry.
Hello, you.
Hi. Just wanted to add quickly, congratulations on being the new king of Channel Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
You earned it, buddy.
It was a hard
well done.
fight. It was a hard fight, but I soon got rid of him.
Yeah. So can you talk more about your time working on doing retro games and modern games on television years ago, like X League and Gamesville? Well, okay, maybe not Gamesville, but just
come and give me some credit, please.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so what was it like working on those shows back then with Sky One and the other satellites?
Well, it was exciting. I mean, as long as you didn't mind not getting any money out of it, it was quite exciting. But I think the best thing was just receiving free games. But we were so small right there, all we got was shovelware. And basically that was the best, most fun thing we did was reviewing shovelware because it's so terrible. We just sit there making fun of it. Really, it's just when we got the proper good games, when it went downhill a little bit. But it was very exciting. I mean, it's just... Being on television was just like the YouTube back then. It was like we caught the tail end of when gaming television was relevant, really. So yeah, but no, it's fun. It's lots of fun. I mean, I'd definitely do it again.
We've got another question here.
Hello there. I do actually have a YouTube channel, but it's full of rubbish car boot sale videos at the moment. But I'm considering, especially I've been watching a lot of Slope and Larry. Actually, all of you there are quite inspirations to me. I'm thinking about doing a video of the UK history of Pokemon because there's quite an interesting history. But I'm just stuff like. The whole SMTV live, pretty much it helped Antondek's career, essentially, and nobody really talks about it, shockingly. I've seen like videos talk about like the Canadian impact, the American, the Japan's impact, but nobody's ever done United Kingdom.
Yeah, we never get much exposure over here, no.
There's so many interesting stories, but back to my point. What would you recommend using for editing?
We actually use two different...
program.
A computer, I mean, you can use one of those old-fashioned cine reels.
Program-wise.
So we use 2 different programs, don't we? I use Sony Vegas, and what do you use?
I use Video Studio, which is basically like the Fisher-Price of editing. I'm just really lazy and stubborn not to learn Vegas, really. I mean, professionally, you should look at Vegas. It's a little
or even Premiere. That's what you use, isn't it? Premiere, yeah.
Premiere or Vegas, really, as professional.
You say it's like a Pokemon story that hasn't been told. Is that what you?
Yeah, it piques his interest now. You go steal it off him.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if you do spend the time on it and make it look good, that's the sort of video that would blow up. I mean, it's about Pokemon and people don't know it. Yeah, that's a video that will blow up. And if you tell me it, I'm gonna make that video.
I would say try and write the script like a story as well, like a beginning, a middle, and an end as well, because that really works well for that sort of narrative. Yeah. So try and write it like a story.
Cool. Just got one here.
Hey guys, great to hear some love for the BBC with some of its great unlicensed clones, Dr. E, Zalaga, practically arcade perfect. But it's good to see that the BBC recently have done their history of the computer literacy project. They've done a really good job of that with that website. Do you think there still is a place for the traditional media, as it were, talking about the history of video games? Or is it something that YouTube can actually do much better because of people that sort of loved it and broadcast to an audience that maybe appreciate it more than the mainstream?
I think the thing that's interesting about British video game industry and everything else is that we were kind of pioneers within the whole thing. So when it comes to people like the BBC, when you think about it, the BBC Micro was a real big deal. It taught a lot of people in schools how to code. We now have the Raspberry Pi project, which allows more children to get into coding. And so I do think that there is place on TV to talk about it. I think it's surprising that the BBC kind of look at it negatively every now and then, considering they pioneered the whole bloody thing over here. But yeah, I think TV could present it in a good way. It has to be very British history, though. The problem with the video game industry is that everything that happens internationally does affect what happens here, whereas back in the day it was very different. We had our own sort of segregated video game industry. Where we have the internet now, it has to be very much everything, not just one country. So for TV, I think, yeah, definitely.
I think it gets to a very different audience as well. I think you still have a different audience which will watch TV, people who aren't quite interested enough to search stuff up on YouTube, and then will get into that subject. So I think there's a big scope of that. And TV now seems to be taking the lead of that sort of niche from us, from YouTubers. And there's more programs and documentaries appearing, like on BBC 4, there's stuff like the history of Nokia and stuff like that, which, you know, it would fit well on a lot of our channels, and it seems to be they're catching on to that, and I think it'll come back in due course and be quite large.
Yes. And hopefully yes, because that was the trouble with TV and video games in the past. Well, the trouble with making TV in general is you have a lot of people who work on a program and it can really like pull in different directions, so an original idea ends up being nothing like what actually comes out on the screen. But I mean, as TV is kind of becoming, well, more and more niche in and of itself, yeah, perhaps like more documentaries like that will come up for video games instead of like the odd one every few years.
Hey, I've got a question for Sarah. You've been very clear that Octavius is a character and not yourself, and even shown yourself and the character in the same videos. But what's it like kind of managing that expectation of your viewers where they start thinking you are Octavius?
Sorry, where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, hi! Sorry, that was very bizarre. It was sort of like this inner voice.
Sort of...
Thank you for your question. It is a little bit difficult. I think everyone probably experiences this. The person that you are in front of a camera is always going to be very different to who you really are in real life, but you do always get people who assume it, and initially I used to get really upset about it and think, oh, these people think that I really am utterly insane and a little bit too ostentatious and breasty, I suppose. But now I realise that there's not really much point in explaining to those people that it's a different thing, because they're never going to understand it, and when they do, they tend to get annoyed anyway. So I kind of leave it now. But at first it is difficult to handle. I think probably everyone on this panel has experienced that, especially given that I have quite serious anxiety and depression issues in person. I think there has been a couple of occasions where people have met me and been very surprised to find that I quite frequently have panic attacks while talking to people, and it's kind of hard to prepare people for that. But I think if I focused on that too much, then I wouldn't be where I was now. So yeah, I don't think I answered your question at all, but thank you for the question anyway.
We've got one last question here. These guys are going to be available over there for signing afterwards, so if you have any more questions.
Well, it's a quick follow-up question for Larry, although I genuinely love all 7 of your channels.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm just wondering, have Channel Awesome reached out to you at all?
They told me don't bother booking videos anymore, they're going to put them up automatically, but I've not heard. I've heard one thing from Mike Mashaw's brother, and that was that. So they've not really spoken anything to me. I think Doug wrote to me once. He was a bit upset about people turning on him, but people he considered friends. So he said thank you for sticking with me, but I was only there I'm trying to get myself fired, to be honest. I thought I'd be as much biggest dick as possible, because I just thought if I was the only one there and the last person to be fired, I thought it'd be funny, really. But no, he's very supportive of me, and I don't see the point of leaving, really, because there's no benefit in staying or going, really. So a couple of extra views, really. I'm that pathetic. So.
Well, we have run out of time. That hour went really quickly. We could have done about 3 more hours, I think, with you lot. But of course, our YouTubers will be available for photos, signing. If you want to ask any more questions, they'll be available for a while after the panel. We need to get off this stage because Nightmare Live is going to be setting up in here very soon. You remember Nightmare back in the day? You've got to give that a try today. And if you've enjoyed this panel, there will be more downstairs on the Retro Hour talk stage. We've got Andrew Hewson giving a history of Hewson Consultants, and then we're actually going to have a Nightmare panel down there at 3:30 this afternoon. And you can get more panels like this every week.
But I have left you in the hands of 3 of the hosts of the Digitiser show, which hopefully, if I get 5 minutes, I'll have finished before the end of the year. So I now hand you over to Larry Bunny Jr., Octavius Kitten, and little fella. Face like Gollum. Gollum, Gallum, Paul Gallum, that's him. Yeah, alright, have fun at play. Hopefully I'll see some of you at Digitiser live show. And so again, pulling out.
Thank you, Paul. Please give a warm welcome to Digitiser the show. And I think we can have a few more on that now. Come on, make your way to the stage. Standing room only. Hey, we'll stand.
Come on, move a little in. I have no idea. We can move down, everyone move down one space. Sorry about this, admin. What's wrong with that?
He was on it. Bang!
You want to share mine? Quack!
Hello, you. When they said it was standing room earlier, I didn't realise I meant on the stage, but there you go. So welcome to Play Expo in London, our first one here in the capital. And any fans of Digitiser back in the day on teletext, by show of hands? What a show that was.
I thought there'd be more than that.
Well, we're Dan and Ravi. We do the Retro Hour podcast, which is the UK's biggest weekly retro gaming podcast. New episodes every Friday from theretrohour.com. Before the days of podcasting, though, it was all about teletext. And can you believe Digitiser is back for the 21st century? in a new format. So I think we'll just get all our guests. We'll start from you, Quang, to introduce yourselves. Tell us where we may know you from and your involvement in Digitiser.
Hi, I'm Quang. I'm a developer. My game Mau Castle is over there if you want to go play it. And I help with Digitiser behind the scenes, on cameras and fixing stuff.
And seriously, without him, I don't know if we'd have a show. Because then every 5 minutes something blew up. And he was the only person who went, oh, I can fix that, because we all started crying. So, oh, hello, I'm Paul. I'm one of the hosts of Digitiser. I don't know why. Next.
Hi, I'm Octavius. Right.
Hello, I got my own mic. I got my own.
You get to no, go on.
Hi. I'm Octavius. I'm one of the main hosts on Digitiser. Having a cheeky little panic attack at the moment. Really lovely to see everyone, and you're all lovely and awesome. Go.
Hello there, I'm Guru Larry, and I'm also one of the presenters on Digitiser, the show. I think they cajoled me into it, blackmailing, but I'm here anyway. Hello.
Hello there, I'm not Guru Larry, I am Daniel Emerson, aka DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room, known as the Complete History, and I just turned up for one day on Digitiser. I got interviewed by you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be saying this?
No, I don't know. No spoilers. No spoilers now.
How about make the show anyway?
Let's go back to the beginning.
No more in jokes.
Hi there, I'm also not Guru Larry. My name is Kim Justice. I'm a YouTuber, I do documentaries, features, reviews, all that sort of thing, and I was also one of the special guest units that Bippo brought in for Digitiser Show. So yeah.
Hello, I'm Peter Lee. I'm also known as Nostalgia Nerd. And I was on the Digitiser set for about 3 days and witnessed some horrifying things, which I like to forget if possible.
Hello, I'm Stuart Ashen, also known as Ashens. I am just a man with a man's courage. And I was on set for about a day and a half, and I too have witnessed things no man will ever forget.
So, anybody on the panel, we're going to ask a question. What made Digitiser so special back then, like back in the days?
No answer. It was probably the most up-to-date source of information, wasn't it? Because we didn't have the internet, and so teletext provided us with a means to know what was going on, and the humour as well.
It was daily, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something you didn't find anywhere else. So it was a good outlet for video game information.
He does have a very warped mind, doesn't he? I mean, and that really kind of came out in the work on Digitiser, like especially like with all like the drawings and all that, and so many little in-jokes. I mean, but the coverage of games was also really good. It wasn't just like loads of in-jokes that you wouldn't be able to get into if you hadn't looked at it before. It was really kind of open to everyone in that regard. So it's a very special thing for 90s kids.
And Daniel, were you a fan of Digitiser on teletext?
I only remember seeing it a few times, but I did go to Digitiser, like you say. I did used to go to teletext, like you say, to find out the most up-to-date gossip that wouldn't be relevant for, you know, the normal news. I remember having to run to teletext, not Digitiser, just to find out if Keegan and Kel did actually die. Thankfully, they didn't. But you wouldn't, you know, BBC wouldn't, you know.
No, they
BBC News worthy, is it really?
Well, maybe this day and age with the crap they run, right? Well, no one's on the side for that then. Everyone pays their licence.
I almost saw Keegan and Kel live once.
Did you?
Yeah. But I didn't.
Oh, well,
that's a really bad story.
What kind of anecdote's that? Whereas I nearly did something once.
I had an argument with my dad when I went to Universal Studios, and I was like, I want to go see Keegan and Kel live. And he goes, we're going to do everything else first. And then I saw them leave and wave out the car, and I cried.
Did you?
Genuine.
That's a better story.
But anyway, back to Digitiser.
Well, Paul, you might be a good one to answer this.
Go on.
What is Digitiser the show?
It's what happens when a man gets a vanity project and we all suffer as a result. So, the show is fundamentally very, very Biffo, right? We are the cast of characters that basically get tortured per episode for his whims. It really is that simple. So the show is a really nice mix of retro gaming talk. It's a really nice kind of selection of games and systems from our youth. We talk about it in, to some extent, great detail, which I think surprised a lot of us. And then it's got things where either he dropped an E or took LSD, and then crafted the whole complete rest of the show based on his trip outs. And I will just say this, there are 2 occasions where I nearly died. And that's not even exaggerated for humorous reason. There is one episode, which, again, we're not going to do too many spoilers, because frankly, even if I told you what really happened, everyone here would say, oh, he's talking crap.
It's a true thing that happened.
It's true. I nearly died on 2 occasions. And Larry, I'm not going to say too much, but if you love the sound of dry retching, you're going to love Digitiser the show.
My son plays with that toy now quite a lot.
Does he? Dry retching action figures.
What side of toy it is.
Yeah. So it's a really fun show, and like when we started it, we didn't really know outside of what Biffo's brain wanted, how it was going to react, so we were all a little bit cautious about the chemistry. But basically what it came down to is, there are 4 people on the show who know all about video games, and then there's me, and my role is to be beaten up by Biffo, episode by episode, until he broke me, and he broke me. Yeah.
Sometimes actually the passion
yeah, it's paid bullying.
If I remember correctly, on that final day, you left a different colour.
I did. I was a bright pink. It was not a healthy time for me. I'm still going through therapy. Don't laugh at that. Therapy's really serious.
If anybody's seen Mr. Biffo's found footage, that's pretty surreal. So is this going to be a bit more mainstream, or is it going to be totally out there?
Basically, that's the Diet Coke version of Digitiser, really. That was scripted.
Yeah. No, it's got its found footage moments where you go, what the hell is going on? Why is a man dressed like that? And there's lots of that going on in it. But to be fair, I would say per episode, a good 15 to 20 minutes is solid, humorous, informative video game chat. Now I talk too much.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering when you were going to give it to me. No, that died. You're not allowed to make jokes like that.
They can't all be winners.
We will laugh at Gannon dying.
Well, Sarah, you were on the set, so what was the experience of being on the set like?
I mean, so when I actually agreed to do the Digitiser show, I said to Paul, look, Biffo, I really, is this going to be found footage? And he said, no, it isn't, no. And I was like, okay, fine. And then, I mean, literally every single day when I got home, I would just sit and stare at the wall for about 20 minutes. I'm not joking, every single time. It's such a strange experience to be working with one of your childhood heroes and then really get into how his brain works. I mean, I said in an interview recently, I think Biffo's brain is basically a load of rabbits with fire
rabbits.
Literal fire rabbits just going mental in like a Luton shopping centre or something. And you don't know how, even by day 5, I was like, well, I still don't really know how to process this.
And you never will.
Yeah, I never will again. Still going through the therapy. Yeah, I laugh to hide the pain.
Well, I was actually supposed to come on as like the expert of games, and I ended up coming off the show as Steve opened.
Yeah. I will say this, if I had to pitch it to people who were a bit unsure, I would say it's a cross between Games Master, Tiz Was and Shooting Stars.
That is the thing, whenever I try and explain, yeah, but what did you do? Like, it's hard to explain, like, yeah,
yeah.
But what is it?
Stuart, for example. Stuart, what was the most painful part of the day for you?
Seeing the pain etched on your face, knowing it will never fade.
Yeah, and it never will. There you go.
Well, Peter, you look a bit like you've got some experiences on the set.
I've just got traumatic PTSD. It was just, I mean, I was on camera for a few segments, and for the rest of it I was behind the camera. And Brian, it was just like, the show, as Paul said, it was like that, but it was more like 999 Rescue. It was an actual gaming TV show. It was fun. There's lots of stuff which is going to keep people entertained, but there's also going to be moments where people are going to be like, this is obviously fake, like Paul said, but it was fine and real.
I mean, is the humour kind of followed on from the original Digitiser teletext? Are the characters involved in it like they were on that? Can we talk about that?
We haven't been filmed, some of them yet, so we're not quite sure ourselves at the moment.
Apparently we need an indecency licence before we can film the rest of the show. So once Paul gets that, we'll be fine. But yeah, there are a a few famous characters from Digitiser in the show. I'm not going to say which ones, otherwise no one will watch it. Potentially. But, yeah.
Do you think people outside the UK are going to get the show?
I don't know, I think they will. If you look at like, a lot of the stuff that ends up on Adult Swim, you know, like the Check It Out, if anybody knows what Check It Out is, the super awesome show.
Tim and Eric, yeah.
Yeah, if you mix that with a Saturday morning sort of big breakfast show but done by adults that don't care.
Well, like Biffo Vision. Remember the Biffo Vision pilot? Did you see Biffo Vision, the TV pilot? Imagine that, but it's a proper show.
And it got a second episode.
Yeah.
There's definitely some things in the show that are very universal. I mean, they're gruesome, but they are universal. Like, everyone can
No, I think people outside of the UK can actually really, really appreciate it for like its so British charm, you know. Yeah.
I don't think anyone inside or outside the UK is going to understand it, and that is its strength.
I'm not sure
I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us on the stage not really sure what we did. We just turned up for a week, and then a week later we all went home with PTSD. And then Biffo's like, this is the best thing ever. The fact that he was laughing with evil glee at certain parts of the show says a lot about that. The thing is, he's not here today because he's in rehab. He didn't want me to say this, but he is going through some proper issues right now, and I'm going to out him. He's in rehab.
Yeah, what better rehab then to talk shit about him on stage?
Yeah. Let's make fun of his weaknesses.
Well, Larry, I know you've had a bit of experience in gaming television.
Yeah.
How does this kind of differ from the gaming shows that we may have known in the past?
It's a slightly bigger budget, probably. But no, it's very, very similar to the old TV stars I was doing it. So, yes. Yes, that's the end. That's it. That's the end. Stop nodding. Stop nodding. No, it's very similar to sort of the Human stuff in the 90s, the way it was filmed in that. It's very sort of low budget, sort of cheapo ways and stuff like that. So it does actually feel very much in the style of sort of Games World, that sort of type of show.
If there was anyone out of the gaming world that you could get on Digitiser the show, like anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Peter Molyneux. Just so Larry could hug him.
Round the throat.
Hard as you can, Larry. That's it. Keep going. Yeah, his head's come off.
Who would you like on the show?
Billy Mitchell?
Billy Mitchell? Is he from EastEnders?
No, he was that lad that did the bad thing with
the Donkey Kong.
Yeah!
Oh, King of Kong! I know games.
King of Kong. There's a picture of him up in the set, if I remember. Yeah, he got to 1 million or whatever the final score is, and then just walked off. How do you walk off after getting to that score? Just keep going.
Was it a mic drop kind of moment?
Yeah. Joystick drop.
Yeah, joystick drop. Yes. That's the one.
It's hard to do that with an arcade machine.
Yeah. It breaks your leg. I don't know, I would have Dominic Diamond on because I've got issues with him.
Ooh. What issues?
I was on Games Master back in the day, first series. So
do you remember which episode?
It's Series 1, Episode 6 with Emlyn Hughes.
Available on YouTube.
They went the Scouts route for the finale. And I did Duck Hunt. But what broke my heart more than not winning a golden joystick, because that hurt, was the fact that not once did he get my name right. He calls me Paul Gallon, Paul Gavin, and then Paul Gamnon. So I just want to take him down a peg or two and say, I see, you're afraid of me, ran off to Canada.
If it helps, you can come and look at Larry's goal.
I don't want to touch your joystick. You touched his joystick. How did it feel?
It was all joysticky.
The paint comes off.
In Digitiser, we do reprimand this, don't we?
Yeah, we do have a cathartic scene in Digitiser where I get to relive my Duck Hunt day. It does not end well for anyone in that scene. In fact, that scene may go out with a public health warning and a helpline at the end for people affected by what they've just seen in the episode. So, something to look forward to.
My main memory of that scene is actually Steve McNeil, the man behind Go 8-Bits, repeatedly threatening to kill my nephew. It's that kind of show.
I remember when we were at play in Blackpool, and I remember Peter and Stuart, you had a bit of a debate about whether gaming should be back on mainstream television. I mean, do you think gaming is underrepresented in the mainstream media in terms of television, and does this bring like something new that's been missing?
Television's dead, man. It's all just Last of the Summer Wine and reality shows about old men in baths going downhill. No, wait, that's Last of the Summer Wine as well, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know, man. Television can't keep up, because you're going to look on the internet and it'll have all the latest news. You'd have to throw something together so quickly for TV. But yeah, mainstream media as a general thing still looks at gaming quite negatively, I think. They view it still as, oh, but if people are playing games, then they're not reading our newspaper or watching our programs or watching our film or listening to our music or slapping our seals. That's mainstream media, isn't it?
I'm sorry, did you just say slapping our seals? Fine, no further questions.
I think on TV you have a different audience, don't you? So along with the grannies sitting there knitting and crocheting, you get people who are just watching Dave to watch reruns of Jeremy Clarkson acting like a twat, and then you land up in a gaming show. I think you get a different audience from people who go to the internet specifically to find a show, and that's reflected in the viewing figures. If you look at the viewing figures for Dave and what's the show with Dara Breen? Go 8-Bit, yeah, you see that well-known show. They get quite high figures. They've got like 500,000 views in like the first show. So I think there's still a lot of merit in TV because you get a different audience, and then you can drag them into the internet, the seedy world of the internet.
But when you think about it, I mean, if a program like a big program gets, what, 6 million views on telly these days? Oh, that's a big number now, isn't it? When you think like 20 years ago, that would be disastrous. It's crazy how things have changed, that the internet's just taken over so much. I don't think anyone really expected it. So, I mean, if something like Digitiser was on the telly, it's like, would people get it? I mean, it's always tough, like, I mean, a lot of things have like transferred from like YouTube to television. Some have done well, some haven't. Like People Who Just Do Nothing is one, isn't it? Yes. And great show. And was it Chicken Connoisseur had one which debuted yesterday, which I think is kind of like, it's a bit middling so far. So, I don't know if I'd want it on telly nowadays. There is still something about television, but is it actually relevant?
It's a prestigious thing, isn't it? I mean, and all that would happen is everyone in the room would just go and try and find those clips on YouTube of the TV show. Like, it'd have to be a very niche thing on a very, I suppose, almost a niche channel. It would have to be an Adult Swim show or something along those lines. You're not going to be seeing it on BBC One, you know, or ITV. It'd have to be a very niche thing. And like, again, you're going to be watching it on YouTube.
If it was on BBC One, they'd have Jamelia in. It would. Because nearly every time a friend of mine puts a TV show, the first question is, yes, well, can we get Jamelia in this? Just an interesting showbiz aside.
And the thing is, the majority of the people's view on retro gaming is obviously we're looking at a retro gaming show. I remember when I was at Blackpool and I got a taxi and oh, what are you doing? I'm going to a retro gaming event. Oh, mate, do you remember Space Invaders? Like, yeah, but that's all he wanted to talk about, Space Invaders. And I think if we had a TV show, it would just be Space Invaders and Pac-Man and Sonic 1 and, you know, just be really obvious stuff. What we really want to see is the really obscure stuff.
Double when they get it.
They get it with Digitiser.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be more suited for like a streaming service than like Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that?
That could work, maybe. That could work.
No, I'm against the idea because if you binge this show, you'll have a mental breakdown. If you do 6 episodes of this in a go, get help.
I think if it went on Amazon, I can't watch the found footage in one go. Like, that's hardcore, isn't it?
I think Amazon shares would drop massively in one fell swoop.
Would actually bankrupt the company.
Probably would, yeah.
Well, what kind of features can we expect in a minute? Is it covering a wide genre of games? Is it mainly retro stuff? Is there modern stuff in there as well? Are there any kind of set features that you've got in the programme?
It's mostly retro as a whole, really, and it's like visions of our interpretations of said games as well, like challenges.
Yeah, there are panel-based stuff where the main groups talk about games and things like that. There's real-life video game recreations where we take a video game, we do it for real with props. That's one of the ones that nearly killed me. And there's some video and there's some sketches and lots of lols and bants.
And injuries.
And mostly injuries.
Well, we all remember those kind of phone-ins that you used to have when you were a kid on the show and you could control the game, and that was using the old technology. Is there anything using new technology on the show that you wouldn't have been able to do back then?
I don't know, somebody using a Raspberry Pi on one bit, maybe.
I know, we're not excited there. We couldn't be too high-tech, otherwise we couldn't fix things. Seriously, that's why Quang's here. Because if we got, oh, let's do a multimedia 360 streaming video, it'd be like, no, that's not going to happen. Because that means that he has to cry for the rest of the day as we get it done. So it's a reasonably low-fi show. It's retro. It's retro.
Authentic.
Authentic.
Are you talking about Are you talking about those phone-ins where people phone in and they move a character around on screen?
Or something,
yeah, left. I mean, it takes like an hour before they move. You go. I would have worked
I said left. I said left, not right.
Yeah.
Or using the touch tone
Fire,
phones.
fire, left, fire.
I remember them doing that with the game Weird Dreams. I don't know if it was the Amiga or ST version.
Oh, that's Motormouth, wasn't it?
Yes!
Yeah.
What a bizarre choice for a game for kids to play at home. Well, get the pyjama man to jump over the giant fried chicken before it eats him. Why have you picked this game? I wonder if Biffo was in charge of that.
Didn't they have magic pockets as well? Remember that?
I only remember Weird Dreams, both specifically and in
It always
general.
used to be Hugo. Hugo was a big... And he's running along like the train track and he has to go right left and then he... Yeah, the cable.
Well, the set from what we've seen in trailers and leaked pictures looks pretty impressive. What was your initial reaction when you walked on and saw it?
What load of shit.
It was a little bit like walking into a sort of hoarder's bedroom, to be honest. There's a lot of gubbins, like not just retro gaming gubbins, but there was like a dead cat ferret thing for some reason, and it had half its face had been crushed. So it was the most depressing thing ever, but it was sat behind me and I could feel it looking at me the entire time. There was that.
I know it was you.
There was a lobster for some reason. That was in there. It was just bizarre.
There was a crane that somebody broke its neck after a good show, didn't there?
We had a heron. Yeah.
Heron, that's it, yeah.
Didn't someone kick it? I think it was Biffo at one point.
Kicked it so hard it broke his neck.
It's a heron. So yeah, just random taxidermy. I mean, when Biffo was tweeting random shit that he found on eBay, he was literally buying that shit to put on the Digitiser set.
He would have bought a gimp suit at one point.
Well, he did buy a gimp suit. Yeah, he bought. Yeah, and then he wanted to buy like an electric shock game for us to play, and ended up buying a literal electric dildo. Honestly, I swear to God, and it had like electric patches and everything, and I think we are going to use that for something, aren't we?
Yes.
There we are. Apparently.
Somebody took it home.
I did, yeah. Not to play with it, to look.
Oh no, perfectly legitimate reasons. No,
Really not into
I'll just keep hold of this, just in case, just in case.
Why would you want to insert that? I don't understand. It's horrifically horrible. But
why did you insert it?
I was just going around while I wasn't. While I wasn't needed on the set, I was going around with it and zapping people with this metal butt plug. I had a great time. It was awesome. I'm sorry, that was really fun. Anyway, does anyone want to take over before I embarrass myself?
Carry on.
I think we want to hear more about that with that. So how much of the show is kind of pre-planned and scripted, or is there a lot of improvisation?
Script? We don't need no stinking script.
Well, it did start out, we had auto cue for certain sections, but then we realised none of us could read from that distance because we were old now. And so we got to
none of us could read in general, really.
Oh, and read in general. I'm doing a link where it's like, hello and welcome to the Digitiser show on the team today. You know what, let's just dump the auto cue. And that's kind of what it was. So, no, it's mostly, I say improvised, but it's just ad-libbed, yeah. It's got a structure, basically, kinda, but everything we say is word cabbage.
It was like just a little board, and like these are all the things we're going to do today, and then whatever happens with them happens.
So is there going to be one with a kind of live studio audience as well, or a live show? We've heard about that.
Yes, there is.
When will that be?
The question was answered.
Yes, I think they're planning one later in the year, maybe in the new year. A lot of the backers will be getting tickets, but there will be tickets on sale at some point.
It will be adult only, and there will be a certain striptease act at the end, won't there, Larry? That's what it's for.
I have never discussed this before.
Have you not?
No.
Well, then we need
wasn't in my contract.
We got a larryogram plan for the live show, where you come on and stick to the Green Zone land from Zelda music. So I just mixed a whole bunch of games up right there to infuriate people in the crowd.
It'll be my bedroom normally doing that.
Yeah.
Do you think the dynamic's going to change with a live audience? Like, are you guys going to behave, or are you going to be worse?
No.
Going to be arrested, probably.
They'll be worse, these are horrible people.
Well, it is an interesting panel. I mean, how did this kind of come together then? How did you guys all ask to get involved, or be asked to get involved?
Blackmail.
Biffo has pictures on all of us. That's not even funny or a lie. That is true. Personally speaking, I got in touch with Biffo because I've been working with Stuart on Bits and Bobs, and Stuart organised a night that Biffo was running as a host, basically, and I met him through that, and we got on really well, and I helped host his live Q&A for found footage, and for some reason, even though I can boil down my whole video game knowledge to Link's Awakening, and that's it, he just wanted to be on the show to, well, effectively bully me and then try and put me in hospital. So that's my role, but that was fun. That's it, really, in a nutshell. Why did you get chosen for the show?
I have no idea why I got chosen for the show. Initially I was just going to be, because I'm beautiful apparently, which isn't true at all, but thank you.
Well, Biffo thought you were rich. You put money into it, that's why.
Look at the state of me, I'm clearly not rich. I was initially, I think you found me by accident on YouTube or something, didn't you?
That sounds really
cool.
by accident. I'm in that weird area of just typing in stuff and stuff come up.
It's going to sound like we're box ticking, but basically I said we can't have Digitiser be a sausage fest, and so it'd be nice to have, you know, a woman on the show. And
electric dildos like that.
And so Biffo and I went through a bunch of YouTubers that we had liked and admired and saw, and ultimately I gave him a list of names, and Biffo had a list of names, and then that's how we got Gameplay Jenny, who can't sadly be here today, so she brought a lot of awesome kind of knowledge and kind of skill, and she was basically the only adult on set, I think, Jenny, and so she was there, and then we both kind of fell in love with your channel when we were watching it. And so, no, I know that, but in terms of the core cast, I'm just saying is that it was more like Steve and Sanya took over and was like the director and producer of it all, so you really helped.
Yes, it was a bit out of control to start off with. And I've got to say, I don't think it is really found footage compared to found footage. We did work on found footage all the way through, and this is very different. This is, a lot of people will be scared of found footage, and it's only natural. But this is definitely a lot more like a TV show. But there's there is going to be some moments which you're just never going to believe.
What have you been all teletext?
I think everybody already has been teletextized.
You done an old Rations book, didn't you?
Yeah, I did an old Rations book, yeah. And you've had a few.
Have I?
Yeah. They just don't look like you.
That's what
Yes, but I think there will be a lot of teletext in the show as well. Yeah, I think we're doing a bit version teletext at the end of the adverts, at the end of the show. Data blast, that's it.
Oh, a data blast.
And you can pause a data blast these days without having flickering, which is, I imagine, a big advancement in technology.
No, we're definitely going to add all that stuff in, just for the authenticity. But yeah, no, again, between Kwang and Steve and Sanya, who were behind the camera, they were really cracking the whip. Because we were just like a naughty bunch of school kids having a lovely day.
We basically had to re-record the whole of Mondays. So
yeah.
Because we just pissed about the first time.
We were pissed about too much on Monday. And so, yeah, these guys literally kept the show together. And if they'd had a whip, they would have used it, I think.
And not even if we were behaving badly, just because.
Was you taking the whip home, Sarah, as well?
I mean, to be honest, directing was very easy because we just let them go, and at some point you just could not say cut because there was so much gold that was going to be missed, and there is so much gold that's been recorded here. I mean, when Paul was saying about almost dying, that's actually true. He really did almost die. Larry performed some of the most amazing stunts I've ever seen in my life.
Still got the scars for him as well.
Yeah.
So.
You're going to look at him very differently.
And of course,
mostly screen grabs.
And of course, Stuart's acting. I mean, your characters bringing teletext characters to life was stunning. I think anybody who knows his characters will love them.
Well, it would be nice to find out of each of you just kind of one memorable moment or favourite moment from the series, something that sticks in your mind from the filming.
I mean, I've got one, but I can't tell you what it is, but it involves these two. And once you see what these two do, you will never want to see again. Not even a joke. And it's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen happen, inches away from my face.
I feel so sorry for everybody that's sitting here that literally has no idea about all of these ravishing jokes.
It's not a sex thing. It's not a sex thing, okay? It doesn't involve the electric dildo or anything like that.
No, it involves a truncheon this time.
You say it's not a sex thing, but I was turned on when I saw it. And there was a truncheon involved, and that's all I'm going to say.
And my arse.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot to unpack.
You might be turned on, but I don't think I can ever have sex ever again.
We're celibate.
Not unless that footage is running on a loop on a TV in the background room. Anyway, awkward.
So sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I think we need towels for the front row now. So what was your favourite bit, Daniel, from the process then?
Well, I was only there on the one day, and everybody wanted to go home that day, so you all said, I was really annoyed. I was so annoyed. Anyway, no, the one thing, I don't know if I can or can't talk about it, but it involves you almost dying.
How was that everyone's favourite moment?
The sensible people behind the scenes were like, oh my god, stop the camera, but then Biffo was like, no, keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Go get him some wet wipes or something, he'll be alright.
Turn it into a snuff film.
That was genuinely the first aid that came to the rescue. So yeah, the toy that me and Larry played with. I was trying to think how I should end that sentence better halfway through. That almost killed you. Again, I don't know if I should say it. I won't say it, but obviously because it'll ruin the.
I will say this
climax.
though. For a show all about video games, that thing that nearly killed me has nothing to do with video games at all. Like nothing.
The controller looked like a PlayStation controller though. That makes it. Yeah.
I'm just like sitting there going, "This is what my life. These are my final moments."
Well, I remember when I got back and I took that toy home. It is a toy, guys, not a sex toy. It's just a toy. I took it home and I said, "Here," to my son. I go, "Go play with that," and he's playing around. And I sat next to my wife and I was like, "You see that thing he's playing with?" Daddy, you would have no idea what that was holding, right? Daddy, what does it smell sick?
I don't think there's been another hasn't really been another video game show which has had so much of a risk of death.
Just a ball.
It's nothing like Bad Influence, is it? They were the good old days. It's gone down there.
Even more cutting edge than Namrood. Well, it's something we're really looking forward to. But when can we expect to see it? When is Digitiser the show going to be available? When can we watch it?
I believe you go to uport.com. It's going to... as far as I know, Biffo's having a bit of a crazy time right now, so once he's gotten all out of the way and he has his holiday and a bit of a break, he's going to start editing, I think in September. So the plan is maybe sometime in October, maybe towards the end. But
he did say this year though.
Yeah, it's definitely this year, but even that's a very, very loose ballpark idea suggestion. But it's going to be this year and maybe in October. And
we're supposed to be doing a Halloween special.
Well, I know that's the thing, we're meant to be doing a Halloween special, but we haven't done that yet.
Yeah. And there is still more stuff to be filmed as well.
Yeah.
Maybe Biffo's intention is to film it on Halloween and that's it.
Oh, ghost watch it, do it live. Oh, I like that idea, we can ghost watch it.
Who's going to play pipes? We can get the irate gamer involved, couldn't we?
Can we?
No.
Okay. Alright. So we need the pipes. We need to get pipes, and you need to be Michael Parkinson.
I want to be Craig Charles.
You can't, because you're not a Scouser. And I'm a that there Scouser, aren't I, like, mate? You play it.
You're going to be Sarah Green.
There's a lot of people now in the audience going, what is Ghost Watch?
She's the only woman on the show.
It was a Halloween special in 1992. This was a show. Does anyone remember Ghost Watch?
Yeah. Oh, okay. 93.
93. I remember watching that as a kid, and I was actually trembling afterwards. I thought it was real.
It was real.
It's the cheesiest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's great though. It made me cry. It's good. It's not a bad idea. I might pitch that. We'll save the budget if we just live stream it from somewhere.
Didn't the BBC deny its existence for about like 15 years or something?
There's a very dark reason why. It's because we had so many complaints and there was a few deaths attributed to Go to Watch. Keep it light, Paul, keep it light. But as a result, they got so many complaints about it that they just promised never to show it again. But you can buy it on BFI on DVD from them, which I highly recommend, or watch it on YouTube.
For free.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do a little Q&A now. Just put your hands up if you've got a question for anybody on our panel, and Ravi will run over.
I like this just one hand because everyone else now is frightened to ask anything.
Nobody cares. Everyone's so confused.
I can't remember. No.
Connie!
Hello.
Hello.
What's your name, sweetheart? Where do you come from?
Hello, I'm Craig. How you doing?
Hello,
It's
Craig.
great to be here. Get the chance to talk to all of you. I think I follow all of these guys on Twitter, all of these guys on YouTube. Hi, Larry. Happy birthday, Sarah, by the way, the other day. I was just thinking, you were talking on the reputation of gamers and how they're sort of demonised and stuff. Do you think that retro gaming, similar kind of reputation, or is that why perhaps there's a retro gaming kind of explosion these days because people don't want to be associated with the screaming 12-year-olds that play Fortnite? Things like that.
I will say from the show's point of view, it's that we don't take anything we do seriously. So the idea is
that's actually a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism, to be fair, yeah. But the idea is that if you look at us and go, we aspire to be you, then you're watching the show wrong. So there's a certain amount of just joy. We try and find the joy in the stuff we loved in the 80s and 90s and such, without making it feel like we're guardians of it. It's just literally, remember the Dreamcast? Oh, what load of bollocks, don't you love it? It's that kind of attitude. So hopefully it's more irreverent than just being being the bastions of retro gaming. That's what I think anyway. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Larry? What do you think, Octavius?
I think Digitiser as a show is very kind of self-aware. So there are instances where we do kind of take the piss out of ourselves being such nerds and stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily dealing with the screaming 12-year-olds on Fortnite. But I don't think that we're presenting it as being a demonising thing. It's very much kind of nostalgia and the fun around it and that kind of nice warmness of playing games from when you were little, really. Guru Larry, what do you think?
I think it's like a continuation of those sort of Games Master and Games World shows. I mean, if Hewlett was still around today, that's the sort of gaming show they would make today. Probably with a bit more budget and better presenters. But aside from that, yeah, no, I think if you like stuff from the 90s, you'll like Digitiser. Oh, sorry. I think because retro gaming was, you look back and it was such a simpler time. I think that's what more and more people are recreating these days and showing how it's just the fun attached to that, and so it's kind of losing its connection to being kind of anorak nerd culture. It's more about the fun. It's more about bringing back simpler times. And I think that's what we all do.
When you watch it, it'll be like 1994 never ended. Essentially.
Any other questions? We've got one here.
I like this. Oh, he's right at the back. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name? Where'd you come from?
My name's Michael. Larry and Dan will probably know me.
No. Sorry.
Not familiar, no.
Sorry, you're just a silhouette back there, mate. You can't see a bloody thing.
So,
what's your channel?
youtube.com/NerdGenius, of course.
Oh, hello. Oh,
yes.
Oh, now he's interested.
Yeah, now he is.
Oh, Nerd Genius!
Yes!
Yay! Go and subscribe to Nerd Genius, everybody.
Please do.
Michael.
Yes.
Hello. Michael Burhan.
I want to ask you guys a little question.
Oh, yeah?
You say the show is very similar to Games Master and all those other gaming shows. So how many brain cells do people lose just by watching it?
All of them.
Well, you need 3 of them remaining, really. If you had a brain, you wouldn't watch it in the first place. So I think it's just a...
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's family friendly for all the kids.
Family friendly involving bodily fluids, yeah.
Because I do think there's an informative aspect of it where we're not that dumb all the time. So when we do we have sections where we kind of have a an in-depth look at a certain system or a games console or a handheld, and it's just nice to kind of get into the meat and guts of talking about that.
Why do you keep looking at me all the time?
I'm in love with you!
Saying that now, you are an Adonis, so...
No, bloody way, I'm having a cuddle.
Yeah, you do. What was your question?
Apart from me saying that Larry's an Adonis, so in terms of the show itself, what kind of format do you guys have? Because of course you've got multi-presenters, it seems like a magazine show. What's the type of format that you guys are kind of going per episode, or do you just kind of wing it, a bit of improv?
I mean, we pitched it like, well, I say pitched it, but it's not the greatest example, but I think it's a good shortcut in that we kind of say it's like Top Gear for gamers, where you can still enjoy the show if you don't know anything about games, because it's silly and it's reasonably fun and light, and there are adventures and games and sketches. But also, if you care about games, you'll also get something out of it as well.
Less of us punching Irishmen, though.
I wanted more Irish punching.
Not no punching, just less
Just
punching.
at least a punch. The closest it got was my death.
A couple of times.
We have a question down here. Harrier?
Not him. Not him.
Yes.
Not, no, give it back. Give it back.
Hello, panel.
Give it back.
I have a comment. Why do you think Mr. Biffo is such a poopy head? And why do you guys agree unanimously that the Amiga was the best 16-bit computer of the 90s?
You know, that's very interesting to know what I know about the show and your involvement in it. Because just, again, this is a tiny little spoiler. Stand up, come to this step. That's the noise step, face the audience. Who do you play in the Digitiser show?
I play Paul Gannon's mother.
You do not play my mother because she's a saint.
That's not what I heard.
He plays. Wow.
I can't.
Wow. You play the atypical Amiga owner. You are atypical, and what you do put Octavius into a proper state of shock.
She wasn't shocked.
So you're sitting here going, oh, poopy, but you have got blood on your hands, mate. And that's the important thing to take away from this. You're not clean. No one on this panel's clean. And you're the dirtiest of them all.
Any more questions? Hello.
You'll get your age in a minute.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to see you all.
Hello.
Right. First question, Mr. Biffo. Do you forgive me?
He's not here.
He's not here.
He's not here.
All right. Okay.
I am Mr. Biffo. I am Mr. Biffo.
I got in.
I'm Highlander of Biffo.
We've done such a bad job if people have only just realised he's not here the whole way through the panel.
No, you're better off him not being here, to be honest.
It's because he's auditioning to be the new Chuckle Brother.
Oh, right.
Too soon. Get lost.
It is too soon.
He's replacing the one that's alive as well.
All right.
So I got
other question. Do you want any animation doing for the show? I'm Ota King. I do
probably
online.
Yeah.
Are you free?
Are you free?
Yeah.
Are you willing to work for very little credit?
I'll work for a can of Coke.
All right.
Okay.
Animation. Ota King.
Hello, did you say the name of the King? Did you do the Star Wars thing? Yeah. And the R-Type one? Yeah. It's amazing.
Hey! All right, yeah, quick. Get the van. We've got one.
Cuff him.
We possibly, yeah, but our Lord and Saviour is not here to vouch for that. So reach out to him and say, if you got him on Twitter, just ask him. There you go.
Point out that you're free as well.
And desperate.
And desperate.
He preys on the desperate.
Yeah.
Can I have a quick one first, Mr. Ashens?
You're going to get your question in the end, mate.
Yeah, we'll save you till last. Don't you worry, mate. We've got you covered. All right? You're our guy. Which means if your question's crap, you're going to let us all down, mate.
Better start rethinking.
Sorry, sir.
Ashens, do you have a stunt sofa?
I'm not going to look at you because I have no idea where you are.
He's behind you.
Hello, how you doing? Do we have a stunt sofa? No, it's a sofa. You don't generally have stunt sofas. I don't think that's a thing in any industry.
What about the one in Return to Oz?
Sorry?
The one in Return to Oz, you could fly, that sofa.
There was a flying sofa in Return to Oz?
Yeah, Return to Oz, yeah.
I need to watch that again. And
But you've got to
read
get
the
past
book.
those scary things with the wheels.
Oh, the wheeler thing, I remember them.
Yes.
They look like something from Digitiser, the show, actually. There's a thought. Peter has just reminded me, we're moving into a new office and there is a massive brown sofa in it, like a 12-seater sofa that goes round a corner. So maybe that will be the stunt sofa from now on. So I can set it on fire, burn it, get it to jump through a flaming hoop, and all those other good stunt things that sofas clearly should be doing.
I remember once a really old video of yours, Stuart. You had one where you panned out and the sofa was in like a field or something.
Yes.
Do you still use that sofa? Is that the same sofa from before?
No, that bit has gone. The sofa is modular, or it was modular. There's now only one seat of it left. It's technically a chair and not a sofa.
So it's not a real sofa, the one you do your...
Well, I remember carrying that damn sofa all the way out to that field and then home again from one visual gag.
I always remember,
remembers.
after I'd seen you, I didn't ask you about the sofa in the field.
Yeah. People thought it was my back garden. I'm like, my back garden isn't about 4 acres of untended field.
Well, you do live in Norwich.
True. Yes. You have to go out to Swaffham for that, though.
So we've got one last question, so I guess...
This guy now.
This one!
Yay!
Hey guys, so one thing that... I'm Jared.
I didn't want to ask Paul a question.
I'm Jared, and I'm yet another person with another YouTube channel, but I don't do video games so much.
Get out!
I'm on technology.
Ow!
But I'm good friends with Andrew, the back office show.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And he does a lot of video games, and one thing that I found interesting is I tend to stick to a single game and play it a lot, and I play them for years, whereas Andrew, and from what I've seen, a lot of people will play lots and lots of games, almost what I would call game hoary, lots of games.
Very avant-garde.
And so I have two questions for you. The first one is, you guys, do you like to play lots of different games all the time, or do you prefer to stick to a small selection? Go for it.
Okay, so I will say I'm like a monogamist in that respect. Just one game at a time for me.
You like wood?
Yeah, well, yes.
Fan of wood?
I love wood. So, as an example, it's like I played, what did I play to the bitter end recently? I played, Bioshock for the first time in ages and played it over and over again. But I have now sunk 1,985 hours into Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
I'm really obsessed with that game. It's the only game I play right now.
So good.
So that's that.
Would you kindly play more?
Yeah, I fucking love Binding of Isaac. It's a different game every time, and you play as a naked crying baby. How amazing is that?
It's such a good game.
It is.
For me, I've got into a strange area where I literally install a game, get to the title screen, and get bored, and then exit, and then go into a different game. I think it's because the Steam library has grown to such excessive heights due to Humble Bundle. I think, well, this title screen looks a bit shit, I'll move on, and then just find one which looks better, and I end up never playing games. Unless it's for a video.
That's because you got just so many. Back in the day when you had to really work to save that 30 quid to go and buy that one game, even if it's crap, you'll find enjoyment in whatever that game is.
I spent 30 quid. I had a Spectrum, it was 99p.
I tend to just play the stuff that I do videos on a lot of the time. I kind of still stick with my old stuff. I'm kind of like, I guess, nostalgic in every way, that I too have kind of a short attention span, so I kind of stick to games like from my youth that are 30 minutes long. In fact, that's just about enough then for me. I find it harder and harder to play a modern game that's like requires 40 hours commitment or something. I can't do it anymore, so I'm resigned to retro.
But I do think there's a lot of new age retro games. I do think they're probably one of the best gaming times alive, because there's so many tools available to people that want to make retro inspired games, and we're still going back to the days of early people where there's only one or two people in the studio making a game, like Wang. He's one person, and he's made a game that would rival some of the retro games that you're going to probably spend 200 quid on over there. You know, like, I think we're in a great time for gaming, so I do like to try and play as much as possible. No, I do, I play as much as possible. I'm heavy on the indie scene because I feel like the indie scene is the new retro scene. Does that make sense? And it does. Before you
why did you ask me that? If it makes sense or not?
I'm just looking at you now. I like to look at you quite a lot.
Oh, thank you. Everybody's staring at me today.
There is so much sexual tension on this end of the table. I don't really know how to deal with it.
Charm.
You're the only thing protecting him right now. So go on, what do you like? What's your favourite game?
What's your favourite game? The generic question. I'm a bit mental with I'm a bit mental. End of sentence. And I go a bit mad with games. I kind of.
Funny if the mic went dead then.
I tend to play a hell of a lot of games all at once. I'm a bit like that.
She plays 3 copies of Pac-Man at the same time.
Literally at the same time with my foot. Just the other day, I spent literally a day trying to get RetroPie working on my Raspberry Pi. It turns out I'm an idiot, and it needed to be connected to the internet for it to boot up the first time. I didn't know that. It doesn't say that on the internet anywhere. So I was there being an absolute moron, like, why are you not fucking working? And getting in a mad. But anyway, I got that working, and I just go mental, playing everything as many times as possible. And
I thought Alone in the Dark was your favourite game, isn't it?
No, Alone in the Dark is not my favourite game. It's awful.
That's not the one we won't see extra £1, is it?
It's one of them. Yeah.
So my second question is, part of the reason I stick to a lot of the same game is because I like the multiplayer aspect, and I like to get good at playing against other people who are good at playing, which means I have to play the same game a lot rather than switch between games. So do you guys prefer multiplayer games where you're playing against other people, or do you prefer games where it's against AI, or games that just are single player?
I bloody love multiplayer games. I just like hurling abuse at people I'll never meet in real life, and it's never ever my fault if I lose.
Can I just say, it depends entirely on who you're playing with, because when I stream with Retro Princess, mostly she just runs around going, ah! Ah! And if I stream with Peter, then he just fucks off and leaves me to get eaten. So I don't know if I do find multiplayer games.
Leave me out, hey, leave me out streaming.
Well, no, you were just, when I was streaming with you and Peter, you were just flirting with Peter. So I was the third wheel. So basically...
Home wrecker! The amount of times I'm on Skype to Larry, editing videos, and then all of a sudden you just hear, bastard! Where he's playing PUBG, just screaming at people, but it'll be halfway through a conversation, you know, and you think I got Tourette's or something, but it is. Hurling abuse, man.
I think that when Jean-Paul Sartre said hell is other people, he was specifically referring to Fortnite. Yeah, I'm not into multiplayer, especially internet-based ones. Quite enjoy PUBG because there's no communication and you don't get near anyone and you just shoot them and it doesn't matter. But even that, I don't know, for me, multiplayer, you need to have the other person in the same room so you can nudge them when they're about to win. And that is the true joy of games.
Yes, that is it.
Nothing no more job slaps only.
Nothing will ever replace giving your friend the crack joystick. The cheap, the Mad Cats one.
I think CEX or place like that should get all their worst controllers and put them in a special pile and say, right, these are the ones for your mate when he comes round to give you an advantage. All the buttons are stuck in, the joypad doesn't work, it's a ZX Vega Plus by the sounds of it. But,
oh, snap! He went there, girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, they've just paid me money. It's great.
Although I think we've just figured out what the first Digitiser merch is going to be. Bouncy controllers. So that could be a great one. I personally hate people, so I want to play alone. Don't speak to me, don't touch me, leave me alone. I want a single player experience. I want to get involved in a world without a 13-year-old telling me what my mum does. Because she doesn't, and she gets paid more than that.
Well, guys and girls, it's been enlightening. We're very excited for a Digitiser the show, hopefully out by the end of October. If Mr. Biffo's got his laptop in rehab with him to do the editing, hopefully. So please give a big thank you to our amazing panel. Now, many of the panel here will be joining us tomorrow for our YouTubers panel on the performance stage at midday. A bit later on today on the Retro Hour stage, we've got Mike Montgomery from the Bitmap Brothers in about half an hour. Archie McLean is going to be here at 3 o'clock today, and the Oliver Twins at 4:30. So our next one is coming up in about half an hour. If you want to play some games or have a drink, you can. You've got 30 minutes before our next talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. They're worth $100 billion globally, so it's a huge industry and a lot of stuff to cover. So every week on our show, we actually bring on a veteran from the video games industry to tell their story. We've had some huge names on there. Lord British we've had.
Yeah, Eugene Jarvis, and recently we had the head of Blizzard, didn't we?
Yeah, this week. Yeah, so that's the idea of our show. And this weekend at Play, we're essentially going to bring you some of our favourite guests to present live and tell their stories on the Retro Hour stage all weekend long. Now, first of all, we've got a world premiere today of a brand new streaming service. They're calling this the Netflix of video games. Please give a warm welcome to the team from AntStream.
Hello, Play Expo! How are you guys doing? It's a lovely massive crowd here. We're really excited to be here. Okay, let's get started. So, there's a problem with video games today. And what is that problem, Danica?
Well, today we have accessibility for everything that we love. There's instant access for a large catalog of movies and music with Netflix and Spotify. So the question is, why doesn't this exist for video games?
And look, we have a handy... Shit! That was fun. What happened there? There we go.
So why doesn't this exist?
This is already broken. Our laser pointer broke this morning, so sorry about this. Okay, yes, so why doesn't it exist for video games? Well, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
So what are the issues with the current solutions? Well...
There's two options. First, you can spend hundreds of dollars on hardware and software, which you can get at events like this, which is pretty great. Or you can go on eBay.
Of course. Or you can go to sites like New Paradise and, well, till last week you could, and download a load of ROMs. But the problem with downloading a load of ROMs is you don't know really where they've come from, you don't know if they're going to work properly, you don't know if they're going to be exactly what you're looking for. So, and plus there's just the difficulty of setting up emulators, which if any of you have tried it, it's not always easy, and especially for the average guy on the street, it's really not easy. So that's why we came up with AntStream.
And this is AntStream.
And this is AntStream. And yes, we know Zool isn't an ant, but we just happened to use that game, and then somebody pointed out that he's not an ant, and we were like, oh, we know.
So AntStream is a subscription streaming service. So say that 3 times fast. And so we are going to be the Netflix of video games.
Exactly. And the idea is it will be a one-stop solution that you'll be able to use across all your devices, from mobile phones to PCs to
Macs,
Apple Fire TV. And just like Netflix, you'll just have one account that will run across everything. So you pay once and then you can run it on all devices. So if you're on the train, you can pause your game and then you continue when you get home. It's really cool. I think we're doing fridges as well soon, aren't we?
And microwaves.
And microwaves.
So this is the origin of AntStream. Like you, we love classic games. We love everything that it used to be, where we'd run home from school to gear up our SNES, Mega Drive, Amiga. And so this is exactly where it started.
Exactly. So, you know, like all of you, we all grew up with these machines, and we've loved them just as much as you guys have. And that was really the inspiration for trying to do something a little bit different. So with AntStream, we're concentrating on retro games first, and then we're going to slowly roll forward and bring new formats out as we go. So it's really, really exciting. And one of the really great things about this is you really get to see the lineage of games for modern gamers. As much as us older gamers who remember these the first time, you can kind of, for newer gamers, they can kind of see, oh, you know, Mario Run is not so much different from Manic Miner back in the day.
Yeah, and for multiplayer games like Fortnite, you have to pay homage to Doom and 3D Monster Maze.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about some of the features you can expect on AntStream. Now, we didn't just want to be a sort of front end for retro games. What we, you know, it's not like a RetroArch service or something like that. What we really wanted to do is put a lot of extra value into this. So one of the main things about it is that all the games are fully licensed. So we've travelled all around the world, talked to all sorts of rights holders to get full licenses for every single thing we've got on the platform, which is really exciting.
And we've also curated this content.
Yeah, because you've all been in that position where you've downloaded like a pack of like 1,000 ROMs or something like that, and you can never think of anything to actually play. The great thing about AntStream is we've pulled out some of the games that you might not remember as well, that are really, really good, and you'll be playing it for the first time and go, actually, I've never played this before, because it only came out in Japan or something, but it's an awesome, awesome game.
Yeah.
So we think we'll be bringing some new games to people as well that they might not remember.
We have global leaderboards.
So every single game on AntStream will have a full leaderboard, so you'll be able to see exactly how you compare to your best friend, you know, Pac-Man or whatever. And that's really exciting because you can finally settle a lot of those long debates that you've had over years over who really is better at Street Fighter 2.
We've reworked the controls for modern devices, so touch tone, gamepad, keyboards,
and everything. And the really good thing is in some cases we've actually been able to make the controls more accessible for people as well. So, you know, a lot of the old arcade games, for example, Defender needs about 10 different buttons to play. But when we've remapped it onto the control pad, we've reworked the directional and thrust buttons and stuff. So it actually feels like a really modern game instead of like something that would actually be really difficult to control.
We've added achievements.
So it's a really great way of squeezing some new life out of these games that you know and love. But you know, you might want to chase that one achievement for getting, you know, a kill screen on Pac-Man or whatever.
And we've remastered the artwork.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the artwork was in really bad condition for these old games. You know, some of it only existed literally in high-quality scans of the original cassette artwork. But we've absolutely remastered every single bit of artwork on there, so it looks absolutely brilliant. Like everything looks like it was made yesterday. But we've also worked really hard to keep the spirit of the original artwork as well. So we haven't like changed it in any way other than just freshening it up. And then there's the thing that we're really excited about.
Is unique challenges.
There's the unique challenges.
So you can challenge your friends.
Exactly. So this is basically like asynchronous NES remix style mini games that we've made out of these classic arcade games. So, you know, it could just be like a score attack where you're playing Pac-Man and you challenge a friend to see who can get the highest amount of points. But some of them are quite ambitious and they're really fun. And we've had a lot of fun coming up with them. Like, for example, you can do a boss rush on every Gradius game and play every single boss from every single Gradius game one after the other. And then see if your friend can kill more bosses than you can. So it's really fun. And when you think about it, like the possibilities are just pretty, they're pretty mind-blowing. So,
we've traveled all over the world to bring you these games.
Yeah, we really have. I mean, everybody said it couldn't be done, and we've spent 4 years, well, 5 years actually, going around everywhere trying to get all these licenses. We've been everywhere from the towers of Tokyo down to the San Francisco offices of many companies. We've even been to Llama Farm in Wales.
Llama Farm, yeah, that's great. You don't take just our word for it. We've had some great people in the retro industry actually give their thoughts about it here.
Yeah, so we're just going to show you a quick video of some of the people who said some good stuff about AntStream.
Ultimately, this will be a one-stop shop for every game available on the planet, so what's not to like about that?
We grew up on sort of playing those early arcade machines. I mean, things like Marble Madness. I mean, when we first saw Marble Madness, the 3D game was incredible.
Yeah, it gives people a chance to play these games in a slightly different way.
And what reminds you I was better than you?
Yeah, actually, I believe there's plans to have sort of global leaderboard competitions.
I love my retro games. I love seeing them delivered to a new audience, and that's incredibly exciting.
Therefore, we can prove who can get the highest score. Unfortunately, prove to the world who's better at certain games, which is quite a cool idea.
Here's a single service. We can access a huge catalogue of games through one central point. Happy days.
But it'd be really good fun to go back and reminisce and think of Gauntlet. Do you remember Gauntlet? Oh, that was so cool. Because we could play that together. So, yeah, all the little guys shuffling around the mazes.
So cool. So, I mean, if you kind of are interested and you think it's something you might be interested in, we've got a stand up by the cosplay hall. If you go up the stairs and around the side where they're taking all the cosplay photographs, you'll see the AntStream stand, and you can come and try it for yourself. because we think there's no better way to experience AntStream than to experience AntStream. So this is the first time in the world, anywhere, that anyone from the public has seen it. And we really encourage you to come up and have a look, have a play, and judge for yourselves, really. So we think it's really great, and we think you're really, really, really going to love it. We hope you do, because we spent 4 years on it. So I think... Oh no, wait, there's one more thing. There's one more thing. We do have the world premiere of the AntStream trailer. Do you think they've been good enough? Should we show them the trailer? Yeah. Do you want to see the trailer? Yeah! Yes! Yeah! Of course we want to see the trailer. Okay, here we go. And but anyway, thanks for watching. Please come upstairs and come and see us, and we'll give you a personal demo. And Danica will give you some free sweets.
Yep.
And just come to the sweets, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
So,
oh yeah, that's
what we are.
Up there. Thanks a lot, guys, and we hope to see you later. And if you have any questions, come up to the stand and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Cheers, guys.